Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to The Best Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Rueseler. When I started this podcast, I decided that I was going to go on a quest to find the best of everything. The only problem with that is that anytime somebody tells you, hey, this is the best, that's the best, it's just their opinion. There's no way to prove right or wrong if Michael Jordan is better than LeBron, even though he is. I'm sitting down, and I decided that I would sit down with some of my favorite people in the world and try to figure out if we could come up with some of the answer to life's best questions. Joining me today is a very special guest, a very good, close friend of mine. He's like a brother to me. I've known him since 2011. Yeah, we did 2 deployments together. We were roommates together.
You gave me a car.
Yeah, that's right. You took my old car. I was a groomsman at his wedding. I've met his family. We've hung out multiple times. I probably know this man better than I know most of my own family, I would say. Yep. Please welcome the very special Trevor Fuerst, everybody. Hello. Dude, thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I was so excited when I saw you standing outside up there. I got like goosebumps, and I just got so in the moment, and like I was giggly again.
Yeah, when we saw you over in Mason City a couple years back, dude, it was like, I tell Allie, it's like, looking at you right now, it's like I'm dreaming almost, because I haven't been around a lot of my buddies, since I've been out, and you're the first one really that I've been around, and it's a nice change of pace.
I really wish that we could get like a reunion together,
It's possible.
Just the old weapon platoon,
Salty dogs.
I know. I miss, we were talking about it a little bit, but there's not a ton of guys that I like stay connected with,
right. And that happens.
Not because I don't want to, but just because, you get busy and you get kids and get all kinds of stuff, and like everybody's got their own stuff going on now, and you don't realize that like, these people that you lived with and you knew just, better than anybody else, and one day they're just gone,
Like that.
And it's sad.
It is. It's so surreal, too. Like we were talking about earlier. Just when you get out, so much happens to you so fast. Mm-hmm. And, you really don't have time to... You try to move on with your life, and it's like you tell people that you're going to stay in touch with them, but that always doesn't end up happening, and you find out that like that was a part of your life that once was something that meant something to you, and you get out and there's just more things that you have to look into.
I know. And there's so many things that require your attention, and it's so weird because, like, for the longest time, we would all go to the same places. We would all do the same thing. We even wore the same clothes, Like, we would know, hey, tomorrow when you show up for work, you're going to dress like this,
Yeah.
And now you go, it's so weird. You get wrapped up in your own world, and then you're like, oh, man, I haven't talked to... Like, we were talking about Bloss earlier. I haven't seen him in 11 years, maybe?
Yeah, it's been some time.
12 years, something like that. Shout out, Bloss. If you're listening, we miss you, buddy.
Hi, Bloss.
He's our third roommate.
Yep. Oh, man.
Oh,
beer pong for days.
Good times. Yeah, you and Bloss would run the table.
Listening to some Travis Scott.
Travis Scott. I remember, oh, man. That just takes you back, doesn't it?
It does.
I remember when we were on our first deployment. That was when that Party Rock song came out.
Yeah, but LMFAO.
Yep. And everybody was like, "This is the greatest band I've ever heard.
Yeah.
They're gonna make so many great hits." And then they never wrote anything else. But we were I remember coming back from deployment and being like, "Is this song still cool?" And people were like, "No." No, the song's terrible. We hate this song. You're like, oh.
Actually, everybody hated this song.
I loved this song.
Mm-hmm. That's when you started hitting the one-cuppers. When the songs would come on that just got you pumped up, it just gets you in that mood.
You just get you in that. You're just in the zone, just all day, just draining threes.
Yeah.
Oh man, I do. I miss the old gang sometimes. What is one of your best memories of the Marines?
Let's see here.
I know it's hard. That's hard to say.
So much has happened since then. Let me think on that real fast.
And that's hard because it was 4 years of our lives, and I was in for 6, and then it's been
honestly probably like
7 years since I've been out.
Dude, I tell you what, going over to the Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood Boulevard, times we're just going, and I was telling Allie the other day that we would go down to like Lucky 7 Tattoo over there. We'd get plastered drunk and then go out like 2 a.m. and get tatted.
What was that guy's name? Rafa, that's what it was. Yeah, and he would let you just get hammered and come in and get tattoos.
Yeah,
and he was just practicing on us because we were dumb and had money. We didn't have any bills or anything like that, and so we would just go and blow a whole paycheck on a tattoo, and then you'd sit there and you'd get drunk. And I found out later that that's illegal. You're not allowed. You're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I mean,
good times.
Yeah, I still I still have those tattoos. I still have, and they have not aged well. Some of them, like at least yours look nice. Like especially, is this your grandfather on your arm there?
No, that's Rod Serling from the Twilight Zone. He's kind of a trippy dude, and what I like about Rod Serling is it was really for that time, the 50s and 60s when the Twilight Zone was going on, maybe the 70s, I don't know. Extraterrestrial stuff didn't seem to be that like popular, like just like that trippy stuff, but like he was in it and he was all in it, dude.
It looks that's a legit tattoo.
Yeah.
If you guys are just listening, go to the YouTube channel, check out Trevor is just covered head to toe. I remember when you didn't have any.
Baby skin, man.
Baby skin. Yeah. Did your lady did Allie do most of those for you?
So this arm I got done in California, just various artists, and then a guy named Tim Beck out of Freedom Ink Tattoos in Peoria, Illinois. He's done quite a few, and then Allie has done some, and she works over in a town called Morton at Main Street Saints.
Morton at Main Street Saints?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, look them up. What's her Instagram?
Shady Lady.
Shady Lady. Go follow Shady Lady. If you guys are in the Peoria, Illinois area and you're looking for a tattoo, go see Allie.
Yep. Any traditional work, any black and gray work, she can do it.
That's what I think
very, very well.
That's what I think looks the best.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like I was very disappointed when I was telling you, like when I got this one on my arm done, it was during COVID, so I had to sit with my arm like behind me.
Yeah.
And the guy was doing it, and before we got started, I was like, "Hey, just black, white, gray. Like that's really all I want." And he was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna layer it. It's gonna look good. It's gonna look." And then I looked down, and there's like purples and yellows and stuff, and I was like, "Hey man, what happened to black, white, and gray?" And he was like, no, it's going to look good. It's going to look good. And then it was so expensive, I just never went to go get it finished.
Yeah, they can be a pretty penny.
And I'm like, I know you get what you pay for, and I don't want to have like a cheap, bad one.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, all right, man.
And then, another thing too is with the quality of the tattoo, then you have to worry about getting infected, and you have to just take extra care of it and stuff.
And that was definitely the biggest one I've ever gotten. So it really got like inconvenient because the ones I've had before are so small. It was easy to clean, easy to take care of.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I just won't sleep on this side for a little bit,
Yep.
But this one's like my whole arm, so it's like I felt like I couldn't really get comfortable for a couple days till it healed.
How long did that take?
It was 2 sessions It was 2 like 6-hour sessions.
That's a long time.
It's a long time, and it's not even halfway done. And that's why I was like, all right, man, I'm just calling it. Like you told me, because he told me that he would knock it out. He was like, it would take about 10 to 12 hours. And at the end of 10 to 12 hours, it still wasn't done. And I'm like, all right, well, you and our relationship is finished. And so now I'm just walking around with this half-finished tattoo on my arm, and I'm like, do I want to get it done? Do I want to get it finished? But
when you're in town, check out the Main Street Saints. They definitely help you out over there.
For sure. Yeah. Well, that sounds good. Now I'm excited to plan a trip over there.
Yeah, well, we were talking earlier, too. They got that Jukebox Comedy Club over there. We're like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes away from that. Jump, skip, and a hop.
Jump, skip, and a hop. Let's do it. Mm-hmm. That's going to be fun.
That would be very fun.
And I told you if I get those shows in Chicago, I'll swing by Peoria, pick you up. We road trip together over there and then come back. I'll drop you off.
So fun.
It's going to be the best. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Fun. Oh, I can't wait. Everybody at home's like, this is boring, but we're just like, we're like planning a sleepover. I feel like little kids are planning a sleepover. Yeah. I remember, do you remember, okay, we were in Malaysia. Do you remember Malaysia?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you remember when Sergeant Kearns got hit by that pig?
That boar. I tell that story all the time.
People do not believe me.
I tell you this. We weren't sleeping in the same hammock, but everybody was in their own hammocks.
Yeah.
I remember thinking when I was over there, we're in triple canopy land right now.
Yeah.
And there's monkeys swinging from the trees at like 2 a.m. And it's like you sleep on the ground, something's going to happen to you. You're apt to get hit to something. I remember being in my hammock and just hearing,
yes!
And this boar, wild, feral boar, out of nowhere, just trampled somebody.
I remember it sounded like a train.
Yeah.
Like that's what I remember because the hoof beats or whatever, they were quiet at first and it would get and you're like, what is that? And then you heard this loud like smack noise, and then you just hear him going, oh, oh, like that, and we all jumped up and went running over like, what's happening? What's wrong? Did he just get hit by a car? Like, what happened? And he wiggles out of his sleeping bag. And we're like, what's wrong? And he was like, it was a pig, man. It was a big pig. Like, I just remember him doing that.
That made nobody want to, like, patrol, do nothing.
No, everybody was like, no, dude, this jungle's evil.
I remember being over there, and every, like, 10 minutes, it was raining.
Oh, it just huge raindrops, too.
You couldn't stay dry.
I remember standing fire watch one night and in nothing but boots and boxers, and I ripped one of the sleeves off my shirt and made like a do-rag out of it.
Yeah.
And I was just standing there, and somebody came over. I think it was like, oh, what was his name? He was a staff sergeant.
Moon?
No, it was somebody for 3rd Platoon. But anyway, he came by. And he was like, what the fuck are you doing, Marine? And I was like, standing fire watch.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just pouring down rain. And he was going to yell at me for not being like in uniform. And then he was just like, all right. And then he just turned around and walked away.
What do you do in a situation like that? You're in the mid, and it's pitch black out there.
So wet.
It's pitch black too.
Yeah.
Couldn't see anything. Did you hear the monkeys?
Oh yeah. I saw one night. Like, it was on a branch, and it was like, it was doing like this, like shaking the branch and stuff, and it was kind of like yelling at me, and I was terrified. I'm like, because we didn't have any ammo.
No.
You know? And I'm like, what am I going to do if this monkey charges me? Like,
you ain't
I can't shoot it. And I
three of your closest buddies couldn't take a monkey over there.
No. They're huge, and they're so strong.
They're fast.
Yeah, they're so fast. Do you remember the big anaconda that they caught?
And drank the blood?
Yeah, and they like peeled its skin off and stuff.
Who are the crazy fuckers that did that?
Probably 3rd Platoon.
I'll tell you who did it.
Was it Mista? You remember Mista?
Mista, yeah, I remember Mista. Yeah. I think it was Shimon.
Oh yeah, Shimon.
I remember looking over, and he's got this one of those Malaysian soldiers had the snake like it was dead.
Yeah,
and he was just. It was like just doing a beer bong with snake blood.
Yeah, I never understood that. I'm like, why? That's not required.
Third world, baby.
He's just like, what other time am I going to get to drink a snake?
Yeah, I tell you what, dude. Speaking of animals, we're going and getting married here over in Colorado next month.
Oh, really?
And, dude, I have been watching videos on like mountain lions.
Oh,
and I am pretty petrified of getting attacked by a mountain lion.
Yeah.
I watched the videos where they just like do the things with their paws.
Oh yeah.
Like that. And it's like there ain't no way.
Yeah. No.
How do you defend yourself from that?
No, you don't.
I'm carrying nothing less than a machete.
Yeah.
Over there.
Nothing less. You're going to be at the altar with just a...
Machete. Eloping with a sword.
You should. You should. I always wanted... I know it's kind of... At the time, I thought it was weird, you know? Mm-hmm. But I always wanted one of those Marine swords.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You know?
Like the ones...
Yeah, like the fancy ones, which I always hated doing drill, and I hated all the ceremony stuff and the uniforms. But I always thought those swords were so cool, and I wanted to buy myself one, but they're like $500.
I'll tell you,
and I just can't justify it. You know, like.
Yep. I'll tell you what never gets old is sometimes I think about it. The battalion formations that we'd have on that grinder that was isolated out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That were like 5 hours long, and people were just dropping.
Yeah, well, because 15 minutes prior, so like the company commander would say, "Hey, formation at 3:00," meaning he's going to be there at 3:10. Well, he tells the guy under him, and he's like, "All right, everybody be there 2:45." Yep. And then that guy tells the guys under him 2:30, 2:15, 2:00, 1:45. Like, and it just by the time it gets to us at the bottom of the totem pole, we're there at noon and just waiting. Like
by 3:00, everybody's already depressed.
Do you remember having to do the pull-ups while you would wait for a formation?
When we were boots.
Everybody's
all the seniors out smoking cigarettes.
Just smoking and joking, having a great time, and we're just sitting there just...
Isn't everybody having fun?
You do like 5... by the end of it, I mean, because you're there for hours.
Oh, yeah.
Hours. And it's like... by the end, you're like doing like one pull-up and then just going to the back of the line, and then you work your way up, and one pull-up, and you go to and you're just like... You're just spent.
And somebody's holding your feet.
Yeah. Do you remember when Nat bought that car in Oceanside?
Yes.
And they made him do a pull-up for every % interest he got on his car?
28 pull-ups is a lot.
28 pull-ups, because he's like, when he had to call him out, he's like, 1% interest, 2% interest, 3% interest. And by the time he got to like 25, they're like, man, you're tired, huh?
Yeah.
That's a lot of interest, and you have to keep going. And he was just so broken by the end of it.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I do remember that. That's one thing that they used to stress is when you went over to Oceanside.
Yeah, don't buy a car.
And it's like, what do people do over there? Buy cars.
And go to strip clubs.
Yeah.
Marry strippers and buy cars they can't afford. And
did anybody in our battalion ever marry a stripper?
I'm sure there was somebody. There had to have been somebody.
Yeah, I know people bought cars, and they'll bamboozle the shit out of you.
Oh, and it was always a Dodge Charger.
You gotta have this.
Yeah, you gotta. We're gonna throw in this undercoat for free or whatever, you know.
Nobody does that.
Yeah, it's a 5-year-old basic level Dodge Charger, and they're paying like $45,000 for it, and they're like, "Oh, it's so cool! It's so cool!" And it's red.
It's loud.
And it's loud. And then like, I remember I'm guilty of it. I bought a Dodge Charger while I was there, and I bought the V6. And I remember
you looked great.
You and Crawford, or not? It was not you, but Crawford did it, and a lot of guys were like, "Why'd you buy if you're gonna buy it, buy the V8?" And I was like, "Well, I couldn't afford the V8." They were just like, "You pussy, you," but
you only live once.
Yeah,
live your life.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on, we would have been there by now if you had the V8. That's what they would always tell me. I'm like, we wouldn't.
I'll tell you what, though, dude. You go over to Oceanside, nobody gives faster haircuts over there.
Oh,
Than there's some of them barbers over there. Faster in boot camp.
Yeah, I know.
Just shaving your head.
There was a guy named Bud, and he was in San Clemente, though. I mean, he probably, well, long story short, I'm pretty sure he's dead now. But he used to give like 45-second haircuts.
Oh, wow.
You would sit down in the chair. Mm-hmm. He would stand behind you. You would say, low, medium, or high.
Yep.
And you would watch the second hand go around the clock, and at 45, he'd be like, "All right," and he would just tap you, and then you get up and go pay the lady.
Done. Yep.
He was my favorite. He was my favorite to get a haircut from, just because it was so quick. And you were like, man, I don't want to even get this haircut, but I have to.
Do you remember when we were boots? We were on the grinder. Mm-hmm. And you had been in the fleet a lot longer than I have. I had been maybe by like 4 or 5 months, and staff sergeant. We had this formation, and one of my name tapes was super glued on. It wasn't sewn on.
Yeah, I remember.
And
that.
Staff Sergeant Moon saw it and like ripped it and brought me up in front of everybody while holding me by my name tape.
Yeah.
And he was just like, be fucking humiliated right now, pretty much.
Yeah, that
like,
was the
boy.
only point to it. There was no like learning moment. There was no like teachable moment. Like he was just.
I didn't give that guy a second look. 'Cause I was like, dude, this dude could fucking kill me with his eyes.
He was scary.
Yeah.
Shout out Staff Sergeant Moon, wherever you are.
Yeah.
I think he's probably driving Harley somewhere or something.
Yeah.
You know, he was at Edson Range after I left 3-1 and I went over to the range.
Oh, really?
He was the staff NCO I checked in with.
Uh-huh.
And when I checked in, I was still a Lance. So I checked in June like 20th, and then I was supposed to pick up corporal on July 1st.
Yeah.
And when I checked in, he looked at me and he was like, "Why are you a Lance?" And then he went, "Oh, DUI?" I was like, "No." No, I just haven't made it yet. He was like, and then he just walked away.
Yeah.
That was one of the last times I ever talked to him.
He, one of the most profound, I'll say, moments that I had with Staff Sergeant Moon. Bloss was there too. We would smoke cigarettes out at the smoke pit.
Mm-hmm.
And when his wife rolled up one day, and Staff Sergeant Moon would smoke cigarettes. He'd take a hit, and then he'd do another fast one. And like, dude, he would just burn those cigarettes. But he was doing that, and he looked at Bloss and goes, "You looking at my fucking wife?"
Yeah, I remember this story.
And I'm just like, I want no part of this.
This is Bloss. What are you doing, man?
I want no part of this.
He's like, I wasn't looking. Looking.
And Bloss wasn't even looking at her.
Yeah,
or
he
whatever.
wasn't. It was just, oh man, the only time he ever talked to me in a like a nice way was we had one of those like mandatory family fun things, and I brought a girl that I had met out in town, and he pulled me aside like the next Monday, and he was like, "Who's that girl you brought?" I was like, her name's Stephanie. I met her in town, Staff Sergeant. She's just nice." He was like, "Is she like your girl?" And I was like, no, she just wanted to, like, we were just hanging out. It was like a first date, I guess.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, nice." And that's all he said. And then he was like, "All right, go away." I'm like, "All right, Step Sergeant," and just like ran away. And then I called her and I was like, "Hey, so I think my boss wants to meet you." She was like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "No, it's not like that."
Do you remember in Singapore when we all went out and got busted for underage drinking?
I don't remember.
And it
was that what it was for? Because I remember were you with us in Bahrain?
Yeah.
And we got busted by Sergeant Carter because our group split up.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Because I remember in Singapore, I talked about this the other day, but I talked about we went to that Pizza Hut and you were trying to get ranch. And you were asking for ranch, but you put like your pointer finger and your thumb together, made a circle, and then you were like poking it with your other finger for like a cup of ranch.
Yeah.
And you were just doing this, and the lady was like,
yeah,
like that, because
yeah.
she thought you were looking for like sex or something,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
were like, "No, ranch for the pizza, ranch."
I'm from the Midwest.
Yeah, I need ranch, like that, and they were just like like that.
Dude, we, I think it was Kaiser. I want to say you were there too.
Probably.
But you may have been over the age of 21,
Mm-hmm.
but they had the bullshit rules on the ship or whatever where you know, and we came back the next day and Staff Sergeant Moon, we were in the chow hall on the ship, and he pulled me aside and he goes, "Fuerst," that's what he would call me.
Yeah, Fuerst.
Yeah. And I was like, "Yes, Staff Sergeant?" And he was like, "You 21?" I said, "No, I'm not." He goes, "Do you mind explaining to me why you come smelling like a fucking brewery last night?" Or something along those lines. And my heart stopped, dude.
Yeah, there's no reason.
I'm going to get put, I'm like, now I'm going to get put in that plastic room that smells like shit.
Yeah.
And it was right across
And Bloss got put in there.
Dude, every time I walk by it, I'd gag.
Yeah.
I'd gag. It was nasty.
Bloss had to spend 6 hours a day in there, and he would come back, and he would just reek.
Yeah, the birthing was just nasty.
We were like, oh, what's that smell? He's like, I'm sorry, guys. This is where I work all day. I'm covered in melted plastic.
It was right across from the kitchen.
Yeah.
The chow hall.
Which didn't make any sense. Like, why are we we're burning plastic right next to our food?
Yep.
When we were you with us in Bahrain?
Where the dude was holding up the camcorder in the van?
Yes, that was scary.
I remember seeing your reaction to that and being like, oh, wow.
Yeah, there was like 4 of us in a cab, but it was one of those like old school cab, like where like 2 seats were facing backwards almost. So it was almost like we were like in like a small van or whatever.
It was like a minivan.
And we had just left base, and they were going to take us to some big mall or whatever. And we were all sitting there, and we're at a stoplight. And then this car pulls up next to us, and this dude has one of those giant 1985 camcorders, the shoulder mounted one. Yeah. And and he was just filming us.
The same one that you saw in the execution video.
And I'm just like, guys, why are they? What is happening? Like,
pointed right at our van.
I know. I was just waiting for it to just shoot out a rocket and we would just explode or something. That made me so nervous. Mm-hmm. But we went out
to the Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh, that's probably the most drunk I've ever been.
Dude, same. What happened to you there?
Well, what happened was...
Did you find your way into a stall for like 5 or 6 hours? A bathroom stall?
That sounds like me. That sounds like something I would do. But I do remember we had been on ship. It was towards the end of deployment, wasn't it? Because
Bahrain?
Yeah, maybe in the middle. So we're
I think Bahrain was more like the middle.
4 months into a 9-month or whatever, Mm-hmm. And we stop in Bahrain and we start drinking ciders. And it was the first time I'd ever had a cider.
Oh, those are so good, though.
I know. So I just thought it was like apple juice.
Yeah.
So we were just pounding them, and we were blackout drunk.
What were those called? Do you remember?
I thought they were called... So I've looked all over for them because I thought they were called Summersby, which is... Or Summersby or... Summersby or something like that?
No. I'll tell you what it is. Strongbow.
Is it Strongbow?
It's called Strongbow.
That must have been what it is, because I haven't been able to find it. Yeah. And every time I go into a store and I ask for Summersby, they're like, no, you mean Strongbow? And then there's another one with a rhino on it called Hornsby or something like that. And I was like, nah, I thought that for sure they said, but whatever. So we drank like 5 of those a piece, walked around. We bought cigars at that one cigar place, and it had a picture of the owner, like, shaking hands with Fidel Castro.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know if we're supposed to be
you remember Tiger Beer?
Tiger Beer, yeah.
Tiger Beer was unregulated. So, like, one can, you might get one beer that's, like, 2%, and then you might get another that's in the same case next to it might be, like, 12%. And everybody was just on different pages.
Yep. Yeah,
I remember that.
That was so much fun.
But back to the Hard Rock Cafe, dude. I knew that we were doomed when we stepped foot in that place, and I'll tell you why. We walked in, and immediately there was this Bahrainian girl that was like super drunk, and I remember being like, "Oh yeah, they serve booze here or whatever." Well, she goes darting past me, and she's got her hand over her mouth. Throw up going all out of her mouth, and I'm like, that's gonna be us here in about 30 minutes. Lo and behold, dude, I had locked myself into a stall for like 5 hours. I guess people were looking for me. People were worried.
Who did we have to... There was someone who threw up, and it got all over them, and we had to go like outside in an alleyway and grab a hose and wash them off. Like, was it you?
It was me.
I thought it was Bloss.
They gave me a new shirt. I have no idea how I got it, but like I sobered up quick on that trip.
I remember we were walking back after that because we kind of split up for whatever reason, and it was me, Shelly, and Snave for whatever reason. Yeah. Hi, Snave. Yeah. Shout out Evans, a.k.a. Snave. I love that you called him that one time, and everybody was like, Snave?
Yeah.
Oh, that's your name now. Yeah. And he was like, okay. But for whatever reason, it was the three of us, and I was hammered, like stumbling down the street, and one of the sergeant major for the air wing came and saw me, and he was like, "You are hammered," and it was that stupid rule of like, what was it, ZZ
123,
123, like one drink every 2 hours, maximum of 3 drinks or something like that, and 0 tolerance for alcohol related incidents.
Yeah.
And I was hammered, and he came up to me, and he was like, "You're way too drunk. You have not been following the rules. Who's your first, what unit are you with?" And I said 3-1. And he was like, "Oh, good. I know First Sergeant whatever."
Wells.
But it wasn't First Sergeant. He named off a different First Sergeant. And I was like, okay. And then he walked away, and I was just like, "That's not my First Sergeant." So like me and Snave and Shelly all high-fived. We're like, "I think we're going to be all right." Like,
just dodge a bullet.
Yeah, he's going to go report us to somebody who's not in charge. That's awesome.
If you were on that deployment and it was very hard to, if you got in trouble, you pretty much got in trouble by by stuff that like nobody really told on you, I don't think.
No.
It was how you represented yourself when you came in.
Yeah, it had to be someone who knew you, seeing you act like a fool. But I found out that with Gunny Headley, that if you brought the problem to him first, he would usually, like, especially on deployment, because there was one time where I was doing this working party or whatever, and we had to move this statue, and I had my hands under it, and we were going downstairs, and this guy, like, pulled it, and it started smashing my fingers.
Oh, dude.
And I was like, you got to stop. And he was like, "No, keep going." And he was smashing my hand, and I was like, "No, fucking stop." And I turned around, and he was like 7 ranks higher than me or whatever. And I was like, "Oh, fuck." Like that. And he was like, "Who's your name? What unit you with? Blah, blah, blah." And I told him, and then immediately went and found Gunny. And I was like, so what had happened was, and I explained it to him, and he was like, "I got you." Like that. And that was all that ever happened about it. And I was like, whew. I remember being panicked. I never told anybody this, but when we left for that deployment, I didn't have any green camis. None. I only had deserts, because we started off in deserts, and I had to call my buddy because all of my green camis.
Dude, you probably lost sleep over that.
Oh, I cannot begin to explain to you how panicked I was.
People don't understand the severity of that instant. Or
and we were doing the switch from desert to greens was coming over, and I didn't have any, and I had called my buddy right before we left, and I was like, "You got to order me some camis. This is my address. I will pay you back when I get home.
Yeah.
Make sure they have name tapes on them, everything." So he does it, but you don't get mail when it's
right.
You get one mail drop every 2 months.
Right.
And I swear to you, the night before we made the switch, we got our mail drop.
Yeah.
And the camis came in.
Good for you.
And I remember just like, I was panicked. Panicked. Dude. It kept me awake for days.
Gear inspections.
Oh, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a gear inspection at one of our at-sea periods before we left for deployment.
Yeah.
And every inspection we'd ever had, they'd give you a list. You have to take all this. You lay it out.
Yep.
You show that you have it. And then once it's time to actually go, it's kind of like man rules. Take what you actually need. You don't need to pack everything, right? That's how we treated everything. But then they did a gear inspection on ship to make sure everybody brought everything, and I was missing like 7 things.
I think, dude, so many people were missing shit.
And oh my gosh, do you remember Kring?
Yes, I do.
He hated me. Dude, he hazed the shit out of me in the bathroom that night. Just like I had to do like a handstand above the toilet, and I was just like slowly like lowering myself down because I was getting tired.
Rest in peace, Chuck Kring.
Yeah, R.I.P. man. He had some demons to fight.
Yeah, he would actually have me go and steal gear for him.
That sounds about right.
And I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
It's because like if Chuck Kring told you you're gonna do it, you're fucking doing it.
Chuck Kring was. I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead, but he was.
I was
on
my
scary.
hands and knees.
Yeah.
Going through birthing.
Well, you
like
know that
aisles.
big. You remember the? Do you remember the gear locker?
Yep.
In the birthing, which is just. I mean, for anybody listening, imagine a rectangular room, maybe 5 feet wide by like 12 feet long, and it was just floor to ceiling sea bags and garment bags and just like everything that everybody owned that couldn't fit in their own like personal space would just get thrown into this gear locker.
Yep.
But it was unsecured. Like there was no locks on anything. There was
Everybody
no
would
guard
take
on it.
shit,
So
dude.
you would just go if you were missing something, they'd be like, "Go find it."
There is nothing more angst-ridden than knowing that you have all of your gear
And it's missing.
and then something winds up not being there. And you're like, one of you motherfuckers took something.
Yeah, and you're just looking at people, and you're looking for the person who's avoiding eye contact, and
Yeah.
you're like, "You."
Yep.
I know it was you.
Yep.
You piece of shit.
And it would be like a fucking canteen pouch.
Oh, or a BFA. Remember those? Those
dude,
little red
yeah.
things you'd
Yep.
screw on your rifle? The
Yeah.
blank firing apparatus. Nothing kills a good photo like a BFA. You know what I mean? That's what I tell people all the time is
Yeah.
you take a photo and you look super cool coming out of a helicopter or whatever, and then you see that red thing and you're like, training.
Unless you tape it black.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
That is official.
Dude, this is such a like a niche podcast. It's gonna be for like veterans only almost.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah, I remember he'd be like, "Hey, dude, I need this,"
yeah.
and I was like, thinking in my head, "Why are you telling me this?" But I knew why he was telling me it is because he was like, "Okay, now that I've told you that,
It's your job.
you have to go get it for me, and if you get caught, don't say my name." And I'm just like, okay.
Okay, I'll make it happen, I guess. Like
Yeah.
they used to say, remember the old phrase? They were like, "There's only one thief in the Marines. Everybody else is just trying to get their shit back."
Yeah.
That's exactly how it would work.
It's probably that Wagner dude.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the Wagner posts? Like, any porta potties around like the Midwest or anything?
They do. They still.
I don't know if I was just asking. I haven't seen any, but I was just wondering.
We
if
should
you
bring it
had.
back. For those that don't know, there's a running joke in in the Marines, and it's written in every bathroom, every porta potty, every.
Staple.
Yeah, it's a staple, and it just says Wagner loves cock. Like that's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it is what it is, and
So
everybody
simple.
knows.
So simple.
Everybody knows, and the funny part is when you meet someone named Wagner, and you're like, oh,
We had a
heard-
Wagner with us, didn't we? W-E-G.
yeah, Wagner, yeah, that's right.
He was a really cool dude.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was a really cool dude, man.
Oh man, it's you said Shimon, and I haven't.
Danny Shimon.
Danny Shimon, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's so many
Rifleman
people.
bunch. Dude, I'll tell you where we got to know the riflemen pretty well is their second deployment.
In Okie.
Yeah.
That was
everybody would just party and do whatever.
I was trying to explain that to people. It basically, the barracks were like a dorm, like in college,
Yeah.
and it was. I mean, it would get. Remember the when there would be like tsunamis,
Yeah.
and you would just be locked in there for a couple days, and
Yeah. I remember it was who was our gunny at the end? Not
Headley, but not
Gunny Walker.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was a company gunny. Wasn't he company gunny the first?
The only thing I know about him is this is like sacred information. I know his name was Jason. Because nobody like if it was like E6 and above, dude, you didn't know their first name.
No, you didn't need to.
But this dude, he was like, "You got to be careful out there because these tsunamis will come through and it'll blow cars over. Well, you fucking go and see that the cars are as big as a Lego."
Yeah,
And-
right. They're all
and
tiny.
Just top end. I never saw that, but it's like, of course they would. They're tiny.
Yeah, they're all like Fast and the Furious cars. Like they're not. There's not any like F-150s out there.
No, they whip around and shit.
But I remember, Wagner was my roommate in Okie, and he was the fire control operator, and he was a cool dude. But I remember we one day we bought like 2 30-packs of like Coors Light or like Keystone, and we're trying to put it in our little mini fridge in our room.
Yep.
And Staff Sergeant Washington came by and caught us, and we weren't allowed to have that much alcohol.
Yeah.
And he goes, "What are you guys doing?" And we were like just froze. And he's like, "Fill your tub with ice and then put the beers in there. They'll last longer." And we were like, "That's a brilliant idea!" Like that. And then he just walked away.
Yep, he was a great guy, man. Wherever he's at,
him.
Staff Sergeant Washington, wherever you're at.
I liked him. I don't think he liked me very much, but I liked him.
Dude, honestly, I don't really think that he had a problem with anybody. I think that he was just trying to make it out.
I think, that's what I think.
Once you get to a certain point in your contract, you're kind of just like, fuck this.
Yeah, you're like, hey, try not to make my life harder than it has to be.
Yeah, and a really big obstacle with that is the lieutenants that go in and they're all freaking moto.
Yeah, we talked about this on the podcast not that long ago. I was explaining that, some officers, they get out of college and they come into a new unit or a new platoon and they're like, oh, we're going to completely redo the way things are done. And it's like if you've ever had a job and they hire someone from outside the job to like take a management position.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I've got all these brand new ideas. And you're like, hold on, partner.
Yeah.
Why don't you see how things work first before you start reinventing the wheel?
Read it in a book somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Staff Sergeant Washington was really good at. There was a lot of times where, you remember Lieutenant, was it Del Favreau?
Yeah, I hated him.
Yeah, he was something special. I mean, shout out, man, if you're listening. You were a decent guy in a hard position, but he came in and he would say stuff and he would talk to us and he'd put on his fake Batman voice.
Well, I got NJP'd over there.
Did you?
I thought
it was just a page 11.
Nope, I got NJP'd for
Ninja punched, huh?
Yeah, for some things over there. And dude, that motherfucker tried to make my life miserable. Yeah. And like, it's like you can't really do anything when you get in trouble because you're under such a microscope.
Yeah.
And then you got him talking in your ear, and it's like I could fucking beat you up with one hand behind my back, dude.
Yeah, he was like 4'6" or whatever. And then the thing that I didn't like the most about him is when he would talk, you would hear him talk, and then he would come and talk to us, and he'd be like, "Oh, okay, gents, here's what we're going to do today." And I'm like, that's a fake voice. It's a fake voice. Stop it.
But you look back on it, dude, and it's like it's all in good fun.
Do you remember Lieutenant Blashak?
Yes.
Yeah. I love Lieutenant
He was
Blashak.
such a leader, though, dude.
He was the best. We were so spoiled. He was our first platoon lieutenant, and then he got promoted to XO, And, oh, man, he was so cool. We didn't know how good we had it. And then we just had a kind of a run of... after that.
Yeah.
I remember I remember when I told you that I was like, "Do you hear we're losing the LT?" And you were like, "No one's going to take my Blashek from me." That.
He's a great dude, man.
Apparently he wrote a book and he's like, he might be doing politics now or something like that. Or like he went to Princeton or Stanford or something and
who was from the Midwest? I know what officer you're talking about from 3rd Platoon. Taller guy, skinny, with brown hair.
Yeah. Oh, Lieutenant Miller? Was that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the guy that you were talking about earlier?
No, there was... who was that lieutenant that had kind of a big nose and a goofy smile? And
the one that said he always read it in books?
Yeah, he took over for Lieutenant Blashek after he went to XO. Do you remember him?
I
remember. I can see his face.
Blonde hair guy?
Yeah, kind of blondish. Yeah, I can see his face, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
He was never around.
Uh-huh.
He was never around. I remember one time you had to go do that like every quarterly interview or whatever where you'd have to. Yeah. They told me to just go to his room, and I knocked on his door, and they were just like, "Come in." Like that, thinking I was just like another officer. And I was like, and I opened it and I was like, "Excuse me, sir," like that. And he was in his bed with his boots on. And immediately he like turned and looked at me and then went, "Oh shit." And he like jumped out of his, because that's a big no-no,
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh.
Well,
And their room was so dirty. That was the thing that pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because all day long we would just scrub and dust. And
Zen garden.
You would take your bed apart and then remake it because it was just a little bit better, you know? And then you go into their room and it's just dirty clothes everywhere. And I was like, what the heck?
Do you remember when they would make us rake the dirt?
Oh, yeah. And the grid squares?
Grid squares, yeah.
Yeah.
People are like, what are we doing out here?
Yeah, what? How... Is there nothing going on?
We must have nothing to do here.
Yeah, that was the best.
This surpasses MCIs. Having to do the MCIs and stuff.
Those were so annoying. Mm-hmm. Those were so annoying.
I'll tell you what's bad about MCIs is if you weren't into school or anything, you probably weren't going to be into it when you got into the Marine Corps, because all it is it's like a class.
Well, people don't understand how many classes there are because when you're not deployed, you're going to courses, you know, like mortar leaders course or that like Bridgeport and mule packers and all that stuff.
Did you ever go to Bridgeport?
No.
Bridgeport was shitty, dude. I had to go for some mountain comm course.
I remember you went up there. It was like you and Grimmer, wasn't it? Didn't you go with Grimmer was he 2nd Platoon?
Yeah, I just spent all my time at the bar. Like when we weren't training, I'm like, I hate this place so much.
Oh, I can only imagine.
I hate this place. You're just in the middle of this like depressing mountain. And there's this place that's called the Pickle Bar.
Pickle Bar.
And I remember a dude from M-Lock he was asking me if I'd been there, and I'm like, no. He goes, make sure when you go over there that you go to the Pickle Bar. And it's just all you do is just sit over there and drink by yourself.
Yeah, kind of like the Warriors Club at Camp Wilson. Oh, dude, yeah. Do you remember Camp? Oh, yeah. Thinking about it,
I tell you, Camp Wilson was actually really easy to.
It was.
It was fun, and that's one of those times in the Marine Corps that I actually miss because. 29 Palms is just a playground for artillery and shit.
Oh, it was so much fun to do, like...
There's some war dogs over there.
Large scale, like, you know, movements and ops and stuff like that.
That was when we went on that Amtrak and that motor plate came down on you, and you were just like, it just started roaring. And you were just looked over at it. I was laughing so hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. So funny. Do you remember when we had to do that? Were you on the Amtrak with me when we had to do the like track-to-track transfer at sea? And they where they put 2 Amtraks like butt to butt, and we had to get on top and go to the other one. And they told us in the safety brief, they were like, well, we might have to do a troop transfer in the middle of the ocean, but we haven't had to do one of those in like 40 years. Don't worry about it. And then we had to do one like 30 minutes later. Oh, and we had to run across, and you had to like time it right because like it was weight, you know. Yep. Do you remember fast roping out of the back of the helicopters, and the boat would go up and down? And so you're like, I might have 10 more feet of rope. I might have 2 more feet of rope.
And I'm about to find out real fast.
Yeah. Especially because you've got 80 pounds of gear on your back, and you're like, well, something. I hope these brakes work.
Didn't somebody get hurt doing that?
Brosier.
That's right. He like broke his back.
He fell 20 feet. And landed in a sitting motion. Landed on his tailbone,
right on his butt. Yeah,
and he couldn't go upstairs. So to get to the berthing, to get to his bed, he would have to walk the length of the ship, go up a ramp, and then cut through like 9 berthings. Yeah. All because he couldn't step up. And everybody, no one had sympathy for him. I remember everybody just being like, "Don't be so butthurt, Brosier."
Yeah,
and he cracked his tailbone.
Yeah, it's fine.
I know he's got problems now. I know he's got back problems now.
Yeah. How do you not, dude?
I mean, and he hit that deck, that non-skid. And I mean,
oh, man.
Tommy told me he saw it and said he bounced.
Have you talked to him still?
Oh, yeah. I talked to Crawford probably more than just about anybody.
He was my roommate over in Okinawa. Dude, I don't mean to steal your podcast.
No. Do whatever you want.
Do you remember when I put the hole in the wall?
I forgot about that.
I put the hole in the wall. That was the main anxiety of that whole deployment, was because somebody had told me if you don't get that fixed, and when I say fixed, I mean not even noticeable, like nothing ever happened to it, you're not leaving. And I don't remember who told me that, but 4 or 5 months, dude, I'm just like, am I leaving here?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. Well, hanging drywall. And then it wasn't like you could just go to a store and buy drywall and stuff.
But luckily, when we did the inspection, the beds
were up.
So you couldn't see the hole in the wall. And I'm like, when my room passed, I was like, going back to the States.
Going home.
Yep, going
Got
home.
a ticket.
They would always threaten us, too, with prison. Like, if you got into trouble, you're going to stay in the brig. Or whatever.
You're going to stay here forever. Mm-hmm. Well, that was the crazy thing is that if you did get in trouble and you did get sent to the brig, time stops on your contract. So if you signed a 4-year contract and 2 years in, you go to the brig and you're in there for 8 years, when you get out, you still have 2 more years of service to do.
When I got NJP, they threatened me with brig time, and I'm like, if I have to do this, dude, I'm going off the rails.
Yeah,
that's what I remember thinking. Like, I'm not doing that. This is gonna be too much.
I remember hearing the story or whatever, and you said that the commander told you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yep.
And I remember being like, that's just a quote from Batman. Like, what advice is that? That's no help at all. Like, what? And you were like, I don't know why he said it, but he said it. And I was just like,
who was our first sergeant?
Second deployment?
Yeah, our second deployment.
Dix.
Yeah, First Sergeant Dix.
First Sergeant.
Pretty cool to get along with if you weren't a shithead.
Yeah.
But if you were and you like to get in trouble, man,
Yeah.
I will tell you this though, if it got too bad, you could beat him in a foot race.
Yeah, well, he was built like a Ninja Turtle, man. He was just short and, you know. And I remember he had his name tattooed across his stomach.
Yeah.
Because I ended up in the shower or whatever. Like we in 29 Palms, it was just that big room full with like 12 shower heads.
Yes.
Because you're like, all right, well, I guess we're just showering with everybody.
Yep.
And he came in one day and he had Sasha tattooed.
That was his name
across, and that was how we figured out. We're like, do you know his name's Sasha Dix? Like,
do you remember the
shout out, respect?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not talking shit. If you're listening,
yeah,
he's never gonna see that.
Yeah. I tell you what though, with him, he was if you were cool, he was cool with you.
Yeah.
But if you got yourself into some trouble, stand by. Because he's going to give it to you. You know what I mean? And Gunny Headley was the same way.
Yeah. If you made his life harder, he was going to hate you forever.
I made Gunny Headley's life harder.
Oh, I made his life harder.
Yeah.
He hated me. And then after deployment, he like completely 180'd and he would like come out. He would come talk to me if he saw me. Like, take time out of his to come find me and be like, how you doing? You know?
Yep.
And I'm like, you hated. Do you not remember
it's just a total change of heart, I guess.
Do you not remember hazing me? Because I kind of remember it.
Do you remember when we were on that night op somewhere? It was in Horno, or outside of the area somewhere, and first, second, and third, the whole company went, and Wix told us that we were going to go out and patrol at nighttime.
And he just took us to that part of the Mount Town? Yeah.
Yeah. And Gunny Headley's like, look at Weapons Platoon going out and training at night on their own. And nobody said a fucking word.
Yeah. Yeah, they were like, look at Mortars going to get some extra PT in. Good for you guys. Yeah. And Wix was just trying to haze the shit out of us.
Steam coming out of his head.
Oh, he was so mad. I don't remember what we did, but he was so mad. And then you remember Warboar?
Yes.
Yeah. I follow him on Instagram. He's doing tattoos now.
He's tattooing now?
Yeah. He sounds like he's doing good.
Where's he tattooing at?
I think he's in Southern Cal.
Yeah, like by like the East Los area?
I think so. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
I think he's in LA or kind of somewhere up there.
Tell you, driving up or driving down to St. Louis, I got a little bit of that feeling when you would go up on the 5 and see the skyline of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I haven't felt 10 years or so what that's like, just to see a city like that, and it's really something.
There was something about that. Or San Diego. I think I always like San Diego a little bit better than LA.
Yeah.
You come around that corner, you see the skyline, and you're just like,
Yeah.
For the next 48 hours, I can just relax.
That was your home away from home. I tell you, the good thing that I liked about Los Angeles is if you ever got into a fender bender or anything, nobody had insurance.
Yeah,
so
and they would just be like, go ahead.
Yeah, just go ahead and go. That happened to me one time where some dude backed into me, and he was like, if you're cool, I'm cool. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
Whatever.
I don't need this problems.
Yeah.
Oh, man. There's so many memories that just come flooding back.
I know.
We were talking about something, though. Oh, yeah, Wix was mad at us, and it never lasted long. Like, I remember every time he would, like, haze us, he after about 5-10 minutes, he'd just be like, all right, I'm not mad anymore, guys. All right, I'm sorry. You know, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't say I'm sorry, but he would just, you could just tell
He kind of had, like, Dog the Bounty Hunter energy where like he'd knock your sandwich out of your hand and then feel bad about it, then go through McDonald's on his way to jail to get you another one.
Yeah, he'd yell at you or whatever and then give you a cigarette and be like, go with Christ, bro, you know, or whatever, like dog.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part of that show.
Do you ever talk to Mendoza at all?
I lost track of him after I left 3-1.
I got you. I wonder if any of these guys are still in.
I think okay, so they were in like 3 or 4 years before we even got there. And then I did 6, and it's been 7 years since then. So they're probably, I mean, they're pushing 20.
Do you remember the mortarman that was about to get out right when we got in? Super, super quiet.
Bowers?
Yes.
They called him Condalock, which means sweetheart. Yeah.
That dude was how I thought our seniors were going to be.
It's just because he didn't care at all.
And that's not the way it was.
When Long and I got there, because we were the first 2 boots, it was Snave got there first to assault, and he was the only boot in the assault section, which sucks so much for him. And then Long and I got there, and we weren't even 41s. We were 11s. They just put us in weapons platoon. They're like, mortars needs bodies. You guys are mortarmen now.
Sure.
And a first field op we went to, there was one mortar out there, and he was just standing there, Corporal Bowers, I'll never forget, and it was raining. And he goes, this is the mortar. It's kind of heavy, and it shoots really far.
Was that the black one?
No.
Or was that the Ninja Turtle green one?
That was the Ninja Turtle green one. Yeah, no, that was the black one. That was the black one with the fins, the cooling rings on it.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we got the Ninja Turtle green one like a couple months later.
Yeah.
But
it was right towards actually I want to say it was like before the middle of our contracts or whatever that they stopped using the 224 black one and then went to the 224 Alpha 1.
I think so, yeah.
I think it was what it was, but I remember being like, dude, I could throw this base plate like a fucking Frisbee if I wanted to.
Yeah, it was so much lighter. It was like, and to be honest, it was only like 10 pounds lighter overall.
Yeah.
But it made such a big difference.
Oh, so much more. What about that hike that we went on where they made us carry the mortar in sand?
I remember, do you remember what Campbell did to me? He was egging all week long. He's like, dude, you never carry the mortar, ever. You never carry it. I'm like, dude, I carry it all the time. I carry it the same as everybody else. He was like, you don't carry it. And he was just egging me on. And finally I was like, I'm going to carry it this entire 20-mile hike just to show you. And he was like, whatever, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it, blah, blah, blah. And I did it just because I was like pissed at him. And then we got done. And he's like, yeah, hey, thanks for doing that. Like that, and I was like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!" Like he played me. Yeah. You played me.
Great job.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, thanks, man. It was a lot easier for us." And I was like, I mean, that one was such. That hike was so bad. Well, I remember Kaiza got so hot at one point, he just kind of went on autopilot.
Yeah.
And we had to put like our hand on the back of his pack and just kind of like steer him.
Yeah.
And at one point Sergeant Mendoza was running through grabbing those mortar fibers filled with sand and just chucking them. And he was like, these guys are gonna die, like what are you doing?
At the end of that hike, dude, I felt like I was floating.
Yeah,
I was like not there. I remember that was a bad one. That was probably the worst hike.
Do you remember that feeling you'd get right after a hike? You drop packs, you sit down for just a second, but then you'd have to get up eventually, and all the blood would pool in your feet. And those first couple steps, it were so painful.
Yes, because you feel the blisters and shit.
And you're just like, oh. And after about 10, 15 steps, it would start to kind of like circulate a little bit, and it wouldn't be that bad.
10 or 15 steps or a Ram One's burrito.
There's no better feeling than a Friday in the armory. All you got to do is clean your weapon, turn it in, and you're done for the weekend, right?
Yeah.
And you send somebody to pick up burritos, and you're sitting there, and you got that rant. Oh.
I was telling Allie the other day, do you remember that uniform inspection that we had at like 4 in the morning or like 3 in the morning? Something had happened, and Staff Sergeant Moon was like, we're doing this at this time. All right. And so everybody got their uniform ready or whatever, and then they got out. And then I remember Corporal Lindley.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't really give a fuck what you guys do, but the second you start fucking with my sleep, pretty much he was saying, I'm going to start fucking bashing heads. And everybody was like, all right, he's serious.
Yeah,
like
he was always so cool, so chill, so like...
I called him Lance Corporal one time on accident. He like whooped my ass, kind of. I was like, that was a mistake.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. That was my bad. No, he was always so cool, so chill, so like down to earth. He was the one guy that I always wanted to be like, I hope he likes me. Like, I hope he's... I always thought he was the coolest dude.
Yeah, he was a cool dude, man.
And that was the only time I ever saw him pissed.
Yeah.
Was he was like, you start messing with my sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start cracking heads. Like that. And we were like...
Well, because when we were in, he was already in his 30s.
Yeah, he was the old man.
Yeah.
I remember when he turned 30 on deployment, and we were just like, whoa.
Yeah.
This dude's ancient. Like,
yeah, old man.
Thinking about... And now I'm 33. And... I'm like, I don't feel old at all.
Yeah.
I think he's doing good. He's got like...
That had to have been something.
I think he did real estate for a while, and then he did... I think he does like commercial fishing too, and he's always I always see him posting pictures. He's always like barbecuing. He's got like a big backyard and kids, and...
That's nice.
Yeah, I think life really worked out for him. It's always cool when you see it.
I'd really like to talk to Blas. I got rid of all my social media.
Yeah.
I kind of just quit it cold turkey, and
it's probably what you need to do. I mean, it's probably what we all need to do, I guess, because I spend too much time on it. I hate it.
YouTube Shorts is my thing now.
Well, that's the thing. As soon as I can pay someone to just take it over full time, I'm going to go back to a flip phone, and I'm just going to get people's numbers that are important to me just so we can text and call each other.
The Razor phone?
Yeah, I'd love to go back to that. But I do. I waste so much of my life just like scroll, you know?
Yeah.
I hate it, but...
Yeah. Yeah, good times on deployment. I really don't remember much from the second deployment.
There wasn't a ton to do. Do you remember... Oh, you remember the jungle warfare training course?
Didn't go.
You didn't go?
I got in trouble, and I didn't get in trouble. I had broken my hand.
That's right. I remember that. Because at the Marine Corps ball, you had a cast.
Yeah.
I remember that. But I think, oh man, that was fun though. The jungle warfare course, like that long endurance course at the end.
How was that?
It was pretty cool. You started off on like the top of like a mountain, and you had to do like some fast rope or fast rappel down, where you just grab it on two sides and like run down a hill, but it's like super steep, but you stay up, and then you had to do this like thing where you had just like one wire under your feet and one wire above your head, and you just like shimmy across this like cavern. Yeah. And then there was all kinds of different challenges and obstacles, and it actually was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like you think it would sound, I mean, when you got the brief for it and they're like, it'll take you like 5-6 hours, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You're like, oh, this sounds exhausting. But then you started doing it, and you started having so much fun.
Yeah. We
were running through this creek at one point, and we all just started, like, I don't know, like, we don't even know how to describe it. We were all just be like, woo, woo, like that, like holler, kind of like a band of Indians or something like that, just like on a war path. And it was so much fun. Do you remember there's a dude from 2nd Platoon named Corbett, and he slid down a hill. One of the last things that you had to do was make it through this. You had to carry someone on a stretcher, like a dummy on a stretcher, but it was real thick mud. And he slid down this hill, and his foot went in the mud, and his momentum carried him forward and just snapped his leg bone in half.
I don't remember that, but I remember hearing about it.
I remember going to see him because, like, we passed his squad right after it had happened, and his leg was at, like, a right angle. Like, if this was his leg, like, it was just sticking up. And I was like, ugh! Like, and the next time I saw him, he was in bed, and he had this, like, he had all kinds of pins and screws in his leg, and he was just stuck in bed for, like, 3 weeks or something.
Yeah, they had I remember they had canceled a lot of the training because of the mortar incident that happened over on the East Coast.
Yeah, because I remember, and then there was that thing in Arizona right between our first deployment, right after we got back from first deployment, where they had a bunch of 11s working as 41s, and they got blown up.
Did they double load a mortar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were doing handheld. They didn't know there was one already in there, and then dropped it on top, and it just, I mean, it took out like 9 guys. Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah.
But then, they changed a lot of stuff after that, which sucked.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with machine guns.
Did you?
Building up for second deployment.
Did you?
I think, yeah, because I was with Tommy's gun crew for a while.
Yeah.
Crawford. I think that's why we talk a lot still.
After
he's opening a brewery.
That's
you know that?
I remember seeing when I had Instagram. I remember that he was brewing beer, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's
doing that.
He went and he worked for a couple different companies, like learning how to do it.
That's cool.
And now he just got a loan, I think.
Wow, awesome.
And he's opening up his own brewery, and he's like, you know what he's calling it?
What?
Long Rifle Brew Company.
Ooh.
You know, like he used to call into Long Rifle or whatever. Yeah, he's calling it that, and I'm hoping he's gonna put out. If he puts out a beer, I hope he does one for like each MOS. You know, like machine guns, assault, mortars.
Yeah.
If he made a mortar one, what would we call it?
Strokers.
Strokers.
Yeah.
I was thinking either like Cuddles and Bubbles. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah.
I love that. Cuddles and Bubbles, or like Via Con Dios.
Via Con Dios.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so much fun.
I think I rolled with one of those crews after I got back from that Mountain Leaders course. They had me carry one of those Green Gear bullshit radios.
Oh.
And those things fucking weighed so much, I remember. And I remember being in 29 Palms, and they were doing a live fire somewhere. And I just remember being like 100 degrees or something like that, and this thing's just on my back. And I'm trying to get a hold of somebody, and nobody's on the other end. And I'm just like, this sucks.
Did you ever have...
But they didn't know that because they were too busy shooting.
Yeah. Yeah, that was... Do you remember when... were you there when West, that 240 backfired?
Yeah.
The casing blew out the back. It popped the feed tray cover
you were right
up.
there.
I was right there. Yeah, I was his A gunner. He put my head down like a second before that happened because we were getting ready to change the barrel, and he put my head I remember he like pushed my head down, and then I heard a pop, and he was like, "Ah!" and shrapnel went into his arm like this, and I looked up, and I was like, "Holy he probably just saved my life." I mean, it would have gone like through my forehead.
Sure.
And I remember that it was a range, and so we were like, I called ceasefire, I called Red Dog, you know, like all the things you're supposed to do. And the coyote came up and he was like, "No, this is good. Let's simulate an injury. Let's go through the..." And I was like, no. He's legit hurt. Like And the guy was like, "Whoa, yeah, show me the steps." And then West took his hand away and his arm was covered in blood. And the guy was like, "Oh, wait, ceasefire. No, this is real. This is real." And I was like, "I told you, man." Like,
I remember hearing about that. Was that in 29?
Yeah, it was in 29. I can't remember which range it was, but it was one with machine guns and mortar fire and snipers and like the 11s and everything.
Do you remember being in Oman and I can't remember if it was the Brits that were out there or we went up somewhere and saw the French Foreign Legion just in the middle. We went up some mountain, I remember, and then like we heard like machine gun fire. And then we looked down, and there was like the French Foreign Legion just in the middle of Oman, and everybody's like, "Whoa!"
And then I remember the Brits were there, and they were just man rules.
Yeah, they
no
didn't care.
shirts,
They didn't give a
beards, long hair. They would just leave their rifles somewhere and go wander off, and it wasn't like this big thing. And we were, remember that feeling when you were like, "Where's my rifle?" Like,
Yes.
do you remember that at all?
Well, some of the seniors, if you weren't careful, they'd steal the guts out of it.
Oh, they would. Oh, they'd steal it and then tell you, be like, "Hey, where's your stuff?"
That happened to one individual, and I was like, "Man, nobody saw that, but I feel for you right now."
I remember I turned in, so we had the weapons cards for the mortar system, and I was turning in the base plate because it wouldn't fit through the little window. So I went around to the side, and I told Kaiser, I was like, "Hey, grab my weapons cards when they put them on the window." And he was like, "All right." And Albor was right there, and he swiped them, like just slide a hand real quick.
You would never expect him to do that.
And then told me that I lost my, he was like, "Where's your weapon? Let me see your weapons cards." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Let me see." And I was like, "Oh, Kaiser has them because I turned them in." And he was like, "Oh, really? Kaiser, where's his weapons cards?" Kaiser's like, "I don't know." And I was like, oh no. And I remember.
No worse feeling.
That was the worst. It was the worst.
It went you're aware that one of your pieces of gear is gone. The feeling of angst, just like it could be anywhere.
You get that one, like your heart pauses for a second, and then you get that one hard pump, and it's all adrenaline, and you're just like, there's like that cold chill that goes down your spine.
It's pretty much SIF in a nutshell. You go to
SIF was the worst,
and you're like, "Oh, there's a piece of fuzz on this. Go back to your room and clean it." I remember that.
That was so stupid. They were
turned back for so many reasons.
I remember I got screamed at one day by some staff sergeant, and he wasn't even with our platoon, but I had washed all my gear, and one of my canteen pouches was still a little wet.
Yes.
And he screamed at me for 25 minutes. I mean, like, I was standing there at parade rest, and he was just screaming in my face in front of like 40 or 50 people about like, "How could you be such a big piece of shit? How could you do this? How could you do that?" And I'm like,
oh man.
I was like, "Come on, it's a little damp." Like,
right, yeah.
I washed it. You told me to wash it, so I washed it, and now you're upset that it's not 100% dry. And I just remember thinking, like, what? Why are we doing this?
Who had the plate carrier that had the bloody bullet holes in the back of it?
I don't remember that. I remember somebody turning in a bunch of bloody, or they couldn't get them to take their gear, so they cut their hand and smeared blood all over it. Oh. And then because they would turn it, if you turn it in and it's been bloody, they didn't ask questions. They would just take it.
Somebody had a plate carrier that had and it might have been that somebody just trying to get away with something, but I remember that there was like 4 or 5 holes in the back, all in a line with each other, and just blood all around it, and everybody was like, "Holy shit!" But somebody, now that I know that people did that, they probably just did that.
Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, do you remember the black mesh bag? Everybody,
like the laundry bag.
That was a black mesh bag, and it was supposed to hold something. But everybody thought it was just a useless piece of gear.
Yeah.
So most people got rid of it. And then they found out like it was this, like people weren't allowed to EAS out of the Marines because they were missing a black mesh bag.
Yes.
And they just, I mean, it took forever. Finally, they had to pay someone under the table at SIF to get one back.
Yep.
That was that place. The SIF where the customer's always wrong.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it was the worst. It was the worst.
You look back though, dude, and it's like it's over like that, man. The 4 years just flew by.
Those first 4 years.
You were in for 6.
Yeah.
Right.
But they still, I mean, those last 2 years when I was at Etch and Range, those went by really quick.
Really?
I mean, a lot happened in those 2 years. Like, my wife and daughter moved into a house so I could go home every day. My son was born. I went from coaching to block NCO to PMI. You know, like, there was a lot of stuff. Like, a lot happened, and it was fun. I liked it a lot.
Did you ever go to my apartment in Oceanside?
I think so. You were there by Crawford, right?
Yeah.
Like you had that.
Do you remember that pit bull that I got?
Mm-hmm.
I had gotten one of these pit bulls from one of these shelters, and I don't even know why I wanted it. I just wanted a dog. I had a boxer at the time, but that just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
You know? And so I got this dog, and I think his name was Tonka, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to change the name to Chief. So I get this dog, and it's cool. Everything's cool. Ride home's cool with it. Well, I get it into my apartment, and I got it a kennel or whatever, and it starts snapping at me, like really snapping at me. So I'm like, all right, well, this dog may not be a good idea. So immediately when that happened, because I had my ex-wife at the time was living with me, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to be on deployment and this dog go buck wild. So I was on the fence of like giving it back, and I wasn't supposed to have it in the first place because those apartments over there are real strict on certain breeds. And I got this dog, or it came back with me or whatever, and I went to let my boxer out one day for it to go to the bathroom. There goes this dog. All right. And I'm like, well, this dog's it's gonna hurt somebody.
Yeah,
it's buck wild dog. And I'm like looking around the parking lot for this dog, and people start screaming.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, here comes a lawsuit. And I go to where the screams are, and my dog is latched onto the side of this other pit bull's neck, but the other dog owner there's somebody walking this dog, and a whole bunch of people, 15, 20 people are like crowded around this like dog fight. And I'm like, man, how am I gonna get out of this situation? Somebody's like, whose dog is that? And I'm like thinking, I think I know whose dog that is. I'm like, I think it's that guy across the streets. He said we've had problems like this before. So I'm gonna take this dog and I'm gonna walk across the street. And I was like, I want to go alone. I was like, because I have problems with this dude or whatever. So like, yeah, okay. So I take this dog, and it's just, I don't know how I got him separated or whatever, because this dog didn't like me. This was a free dog that knew that it had been in a shelter and then got into a home and was like, it's my show now.
Yeah.
You know? So I called the vet back after, or the pound back after that had happened, and I said, this dog is wild and I can't have this dog. And they're like, well, you bought the dog, you have to keep it. And I think I was on the 78. Is that a highway over there?
Yeah, 78. Yeah.
I was over on the 78 or close to it, and I go, here's the deal. If you don't take this dog back, I'm just going to let it out on the highway, and it's going to get hit by one of these cars. Because I was, like, on my way to the pound, and they're like, well, you can't do that. I said, I'm about to open this door up right now and let it out, or you take the dog. And they're like, okay, well, we'll take it. And then I got rid of that dog, and then, like, 4 months later, I got another pit bull. I got another one. This one was a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes dogs are weird. I mean, sometimes, like people, you know?
Yeah.
Some people, you think they're cool, and then you realize, like, oh, this guy is...
You hear him speak a little too much.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, there's something... Or the eyes. There's something in the eyes. There's a couple people I've been trying to... Here in St. Louis, where I'll tell people, I'm like, hey, something about these eyes... That person's eyes are just off. They're like, what do you mean? And I'm like... Yeah, I've been around enough weird people that watch this.
Were you at Edson Range when somebody threw poop on a car, or like someone was throwing poop, like they're pooping into their hand and
yeah. This guy got in trouble at work, and he got mad at his first sergeant, so he decided what he was going to do was he was going to go out in town. He was going to get blackout drunk, then drive out in town and throw poop at cars.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he decided to do that. And he told this long story about how he stood on a car and just started flinging poop. And you would think, like, oh, what is this, like 2 a.m. on like a Saturday or something?
Yeah.
No, it was like 10 a.m. Sunday morning. Like, people were coming back from church, and he was just pelting them with poo. And I was just like, did you just like stand on a car, pull down your pants, like poop in your hand and throw it? And he was like, no, and he looked like offended. And he was like, I pooped in a bag and then I drove it out in town and then threw it. And I was like, oh,
What do you think I am, an animal?
I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize this was premeditated.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had planned this out.
A lot of
logistically, like you were ready for this.
Yeah, a lot of thought.
At no point you thought like, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Have your kids asked you anything about your Marine Corps days?
Not really. My daughter doesn't really care at all. My son doesn't really understand it.
Yeah.
He sometimes he'll ask questions like if we go watch like a war movie or if we watch like the Avengers or something, and he'll be like, Dad, so what did you do in the military? And I'm like, well, okay, you see that guard that's like walking around the base and they sneak up behind him and kill him? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, that would have been me. That would have been me. I'm the guy that just walked around bored and got shot with an arrow. Like that's what I did.
I remember being that age and like not like a kid, but remember when Jarhead came out?
Oh yeah.
I went to go see that movie with my dad.
I did too, actually.
And my dad about had a fucking heart attack when those two people were like when the people were fucking.
Oh yeah,
and whatever.
Yeah. My dad was like, I
remember my dad was like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
Like, he didn't know what to do.
You can't look at that.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, man.
Wow, Marines looks like fun.
Yeah, I just watched something like this on my monitor in your kitchen like 2 days ago.
That is weird though, like as a dad. Because what if that popped up and your son was around? You do the same thing.
Dude, yeah.
You never think that they're ready to see it. Even if it's like, hey, Dad, I've already seen this like 6 times. You're like, well, I don't know. I'm not ready for you to see it.
My kids are, they're too young to even get the concept of what military is. My kid's obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, mine too. He loves it.
Sonic. Do you know Sonic's real name is Maurice or Ogilvy Maurice Hedgehog?
What?
Yeah.
Sonic's real name is Ogilvy Maurice?
Yeah, but people called him Baby Rich because that's what his nickname was as a baby, but he was just so embarrassed of his name. So they started calling him Sonic the Hedgehog. I've heard a lot of crazy stuff about cartoons now. Like, did you know about Super Mario?
No.
About how that was a fight to support communism?
What?
Mm-hmm. Because
I like this. Now we're getting into it.
Yeah. It's something to do with like you got to think, what do plumbers and like blue collar workers and stuff? What does that have to do with like an Italian plumber? You know what I mean? It's I can't remember like off the top of my head, but it was like the colors of his apparel were to like support the colors of communism, and they were trying to target blue collar workers, which is why he was a plumber. But you got to think like it was made in Japan.
I think I have heard some of this.
Yeah, and I've heard a whole bunch of stuff like the coins are souls.
The coins are souls, and he's collecting souls.
Yeah, like the people, because you can only collect the souls from fire. Or like to collect like a bunch of coins disperse or whatever from fire. Like if you just jump on like a Goomba's head or whatever, it will just a poof of air. But if you hit it with fire, fire burns everything out, and it's like supposed to be a soul. There's a lot of stuff that's just weird. I watch too many podcasts and conspiracy
I like
theories.
It though. Yeah. I always ask people like, what's the best conspiracy theory you've heard lately?
Yeah,
because somebody's always got a good.
Well, do you know who Ron Wyatt is? Archaeologist who claims that he found Jesus Christ's blood.
Oh.
It was over. I mean, dude, this dude's found like Mount Sinai. He's like spotted that. He spotted claims that he spotted Noah's Ark, like down to the inch of like the length, and where he found the stuff is in the exact same spot that it says it's in the Bible.
Whoa! And then, I think I've seen a video about this.
And then with Jesus' blood, where he was crucified, I guess he claims that he found the Ark of the Covenant, and when he was crucified, the earth split and his blood dripped down into where this was, and he said he had the blood tested, and it was only 24 chromosomes from the mother. And I mean, and I mean that's bone chilling stuff. You know what I mean? It really makes you think about what you're doing with your life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But there's just I love that kind of stuff. I love
Oh, I
conspiracy
love
theories.
conspiracy. Have you heard the one about Antarctica? This is my favorite one so far.
I have heard something like Nazis used to go over there or something along those lines.
I've heard that. I've heard that Nazis used to go over there, but now I've heard that it's actually like a tropical paradise, and that billionaires go there to hang out, and they're expecting all like the sea levels to rise, and all of us will drown, but they'll be safe.
Yeah.
In this new tropical whatever.
Huh.
And I have not looked into it at all.
Yeah.
But I heard someone talk about it, and I'm like, that's fun. I'd like to believe. Or the hollow earth, that the earth is like hollow on the inside.
Oh, I've heard something different than that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Somebody had said that there was it's just a big ball of iron in the middle now.
Really?
Yeah, it's like there's like we were taught as kids that there's like core magma and crust and shit. I guess it's not that.
It's just a straight iron, huh?
And I guess like I don't even know how you would figure this out, but somebody had said like it started spinning in a different direction. So like for so many years or whatever, it's been spinning a certain way. Well, I guess it started spinning the other way. That's why like so I guess supposedly some people started to act like anxiety attacks have been happening like more so often in people and stuff like that. It's just because the Earth's spinning in a different direction now, I guess.
I wonder if, I don't know, sometimes I wonder if it's not because of everything. Like, I think that the food is so bad for you now. Like, if you look into a grocery store,
yeah,
like 90% of the food on the shelves didn't exist 100 years ago.
Right.
And it's all fake, genetically modified. And I think that's messing with people. But also they're making so much money selling all these like prescription pills and stuff,
yeah, dude,
that people are that they just keep going, and instead of
control, dude.
Instead of treating the problem of like, hey, you're getting anxiety because of this, they're like, hey, take this pill and you won't feel anxiety.
Exactly.
But you're not actually doing anything to help you. And by the way, I don't have a medical degree, so don't listen to my advice. If your doctor told you to take some pills, maybe you should take them. I'm not telling you to stop.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, like, I don't know. The VA kept trying to get me to take pills for a long time. Yeah. And I was just like,
the body's just not supposed to have synthetic stuff, man-made stuff. I tell you what. And it's like in the world we live in now, if you want to get off of anything, if you want to like for example, cannabis, if you I looked this up online, if you want to try to quit cannabis or weed, they want you to take 5 different pills to get off of one natural substance.
Right.
There's something fishy about that.
Well, when I got out of the military, I went from 0 medication at all to like 15 different prescriptions in like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's just because they would give me a pill, and then that pill would have side effects. So they'd give me a pill to counteract the side effects, but then that would give side effects, and then you have to take another pill.
Dude,
and it was like blood pressure, a mood stabilizer, an antidepressant, something else. Like, and I remember like at one point I walked in and I had a Ziploc bag full of just pill after pill after pill after pill, and I was like, I didn't need this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't need this, but now I do.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I ended up throwing them all away. And I was like, I'm just going to try it the old-fashioned way. So I changed my diet. I started exercising, and I just like...
Exercise helps with so much, dude.
It really does.
You wouldn't even know it. Like, if it's so... that's one thing that I let go when I got real heavy into weed is I stopped exercising. And now that I've been, like, you know, on tolerance break or off the weed for a while, I started lifting again.
Yeah.
Just a few reps, dude. If you have enough weight on the bar...
You don't have to kill yourself.
No.
I used to think that if you were going to the gym, you had to, like, just destroy yourself. You don't leave until you can't walk. Like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Walk 3 miles a day or
yes,
lift
absolutely.
a little bit. Like, I love lifting weights because I feel so good afterwards.
Yeah.
And you just, like, I feel, like, more confident. You know what I mean? Like, even if you don't notice a difference in the way you look,
right?
I feel stronger. I feel like, hey, at least I did this today, you know?
I think our perspective has changed on it, too, is we're now, we're not trying to, like look a certain way. It's just about maintaining what we have.
It's just about like, and it's mostly mental, you know, like,
yeah.
because I'll go to the gym and I'll work out, but then I'll go to Huddle or Waffle House later that night, you know, and I don't really care. Like, oh, well, this might make me a little bit fatter, but oh well, you know, like I'm mostly going to work out just because like I wanted to feel that like,
right,
you know, especially if something's really annoying you, like kid stuff, or I've got a heavy bag in my basement, and sometimes if I'm just mad, you know, or it's been a bad day or bad news or whatever, just going down there and I set a timer for 5 minutes, and I'll do like 5-minute rounds.
Just getting gas, kind of.
And you just punch. And if you get really, really tired, you don't have to do all kinds of fancy Floyd Mayweather stuff.
Sure.
Just 1, 2, 1, 2. And by the time you're done, you're sweaty. You just feel better. And then you're like, oh, hey, I did something positive today.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite part about it, is just to know, like, hey, I did something good today. You know, even if the rest of the day, all I do is eat Cheetos and watch Netflix,
sure,
at least I did one positive thing. You
right.
know?
Yep. Absolutely.
That's kind of how I try to like teach myself to think about it.
For sure.
You want to jump into some of these questions? I'm kind of having fun. I'm
having fun, dude.
Dude, I'm having fun just catching up. I feel like the first hour of this podcast has been all just stuff nobody else is going to know about, because we were talking about people and whatever. It doesn't matter.
That's fun.
Yeah, I like it just because I'll go back and watch it just for me.
Absolutely.
You know? I don't care. That's kind of the approach I've been taking to this, is that I'm not really worried about what's fun for people to watch at home. Like, I'm trying to have fun in the moment. And I feel like if you and I are having a good time, maybe that translates. Sure. And someone will watch it, and then they'll feel like they're having a...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
I'd rather be in the moment and have fun with you than worry about, like, oh, I don't know if people are going to watch this or like it or share it, or, you know, like, just... Yeah. That stuff's all annoying to me.
Like the podcast that I've watched of yours previously, it's like some of the stuff, you know, I can't really connect with because it's comedians. Yeah. But I still like being a part of it just because I get to hear, you know, somebody that I know their conversation, and it's like, you know what you're talking about with it, you know, and all you guys seem to click together.
Well, it's just fun. I mean, we're just hanging out, you know? It's just like I said earlier, like, I got into comedy because I really missed that part of the Marines where you're waiting around for 3 hours and you're just joking with your friends, or you're you know, you're bored out of your mind, or you're on post for 8 hours and you just talk to the guy next to you because you remember some of that. Oh man. Oh, post. That feeling when you wake up, someone would nudge you and be like, "Hey, you got Firewatch."
Firewatch, like, yeah.
It's a 1 a.m. You got to go stand in the rain for an hour. Oh, yeah. And then you wake the next guy up, and he takes like 15 minutes to get dressed. And you're like, come on, man.
The birthing Firewatch was the worst, because it's like, nobody's fucking coming in here.
We're at sea. Yeah. There's no fires. Why are we doing Firewatch?
One last thing, did you ever find it amazing how that supply ship would just come up next to us and like, just find us? Yeah. And then we were out in the middle of nowhere. And they're like they're shipping monsters and cigarettes and chew. Yeah. I remember on that deployment, people were so deprived of shit that they were buying cans of chew for like $75 a piece.
I remember guys selling Grizzly Wintergreen for $100 a can.
And people were buying it.
And they were like, this is a good deal. I'm taking it. You're like, what?
Yeah, this is a bargain.
You remember the little star card?
Yes.
The little chip or whatever, and you'd go to the store, and the only thing that you could buy was like garden salsa sun chips and
Giants.
Oh, yes! I loved those.
Giants is good.
Oh, really I still have one every now and then.
Do they sell them? I haven't even seen them.
You can get them at QT. You have QTs around you?
Is that a gas station?
Quick Trip.
Quick Trip.
You got to check it out. They usually have some. I loved the what was it? The pomegranate, blue pomegranate. That was a good one, and frostberry. Yeah, those are my two flavors.
Yeah, that was a pretty happening spot on the ship. The PX. Always packed.
Do you remember when they used to kick us out of the berthing? They'd be like, you guys can't just stay in here all day. Go do stuff. But you can't just go hang out on the ship because everybody else is working.
Right.
Everybody else has jobs.
Right.
And they were just like, you can't be here.
Yes.
We're like, well, we can't go anywhere else.
Right.
Like,
Where do you want me to go?
Do?
The smoke pit? You want me to go get lung cancer in the smoke pit from secondhand smoke?
The smoke pit.
The smoke pit was probably the worst and best place on that ship.
It was down those stairs. There were like 6 stairs, and it was in this room that was pitch black, completely sealed in, and it's just people chain smoking, just trying because it was like I have 15 minutes till I have to go back and do a 12-hour shift of whatever,
or have to go to
just chain smoke 7 cigarettes, and then everybody in there is just like they can't breathe, they can't see, and you come out and you'd be like, ugh.
I have to go back to this bullshit ice cream social. Fucking smoking cigarettes.
I'll never forget that ice cream social. I didn't even want to go, but they like made you, and then the staff NCOs were serving the ice cream.
Yeah,
and you just kind of went through with like a tray, and I had a steak. It was one of those like steak and lobster nights.
Yes,
where your steak looked like the sole of someone's shoe, like it was like super burnt. Super whatever, and we were going through, and one of the staff sergeants who didn't like me, he took a big old hunk of like chocolate ice cream and just dumped it on top of my steak, and I was just like looked at it, and I looked at him, and he goes, "Fuck you," and I was like, "Hi, Staff Sergeant." Yeah. And I just kept going.
Yeah, it looks like they were in direct contact with the Golden Corral.
The only thing that found us out at sea was Golden Corral
and that supply ship.
Yeah.
And when that supply ship would come by, everybody was like, dude, Angels started singing.
I know.
Like, dude, I get my Monster. I get this.
Remember those care packages that kids would send you from like elementary schools and stuff?
Yeah.
And they'd always have those like letters inside. And one of them.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you for your service. Thank you. The terrorists are bad and you need to kill them. And I hope that when you find them, you'll shoot them or whatever. And you're like, is anybody reading these before they send them?
Yeah.
I had one letter one time where it was a kid, and he was like, "Dear Mr. Soldier Man, my dad was in the military when my mom was pregnant with me, and they told him that he couldn't come home to see me be born, so he just left anyway, and he's been home ever since." And I was just like, oh, this guy's UA. We should.
Yeah.
This kid's a narc. We should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs to be silenced.
Yeah. Hey, rat.
There was I was told something happened over in Okinawa where where did everybody go out in the town?
Kimtown,
and then there was another one. I think it was like Kintown, or it was over in that area.
Yeah.
Somebody, I think it's over in Cat Platoon or Cat Company.
Oh,
had gone, and some dude came up on like a moped or like a scooter and was like, "You guys Marines?"
Yes, I remember this story.
And then he was like, "I've been UA since like '75 or whatever."
It just took off. Yeah.
Like what a life.
What a life.
Your life changes instantly.
Yeah, you go. Yeah. If you just run away from the military, you're like Jason Bourne. You're hunted forever.
Yeah.
Don't ever pop your head up.
No, you
don't
can't.
ever use your fingerprint or your name or
cash only.
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's man.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Like it was never that bad. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe if he was going to Nam, like I could see why he'd be like, "Nah, I'm not about this."
Sure.
But like, I don't know. It never got that bad that I was like, well, I'm just going to abandon everyone I know and everything I've ever known.
Yep.
I'm just going to stay here.
Third world?
Yeah, I'm going to stay here in Singapore for the next 60 years.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. That was...
What were we talking about before that?
Oh, the supply?
Yeah,
like getting resupplied out at sea or whatever?
Yeah.
And it was just boxes of...
Mm-hmm.
And they always sent you stuff you didn't want, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I remember. Like, just, they would load up these prepaid postal boxes full of, like, Jolly Ranchers or something.
And, like, Q-tips.
Yeah, and you're like, what? Okay.
I have
these.
It's very nice, but...
Yeah. I want batteries. I want dip.
Yeah.
I want socks. Like, I want magazines or something to read.
Yeah.
Like, that was... everybody would just have flash drives full of porn or whatever.
Yeah.
And it would go around, and everyone would get computer viruses, and I wonder what happened. Yeah, I wonder, man.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, this flash drive's been in 700 computers.
Yeah, it's compromised.
yeah. The firewall is broken.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew.
This thing has been breached. Yeah. What are those? You got questions, you said?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So I usually scroll through these. I got a bunch of different ones. We'll just keep going through. We did conspiracy theory.
Oh, the best way to hide a body.
That's a good one. I just try to do. Well, I did that one time, and somebody was like, when my kids were in here, I was like, "What do you guys think the best way to hide a body is?" And they were like, "Oh, they just told me, something silly." They're like, "What do you think, Dad?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to teach you how to hide a body."
Yeah.
No, you guys are going to have to figure that one out on your own.
With that one, I think for my answer, it'd probably be I'd have to get it over. I just watched a documentary on the Marianas Trench. Mm-hmm. If you can get above the Marianas Trench, you're good.
Yeah. Well, that's what Crawford always used to say.
Yep. All you got to do is figure out how to get it there.
Yeah. He would say there's so many. There's also a place, he said, off the coast of Massachusetts where I guess they used to test like torpedoes and like old sea mines and stuff. And he said there's still a lot of unexploded ordnance.
Oh, wow.
And they're like places that you cannot dive. Mm-hmm. And so he said that he would always do it there. Like an oil drum,
Or I just put it. I'd probably either do that or just put it on like a giant firework, and just get rid of all of the evidence.
Just shoot it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
You could probably do it. You could probably just like put a body out in the middle of like a mortar range.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to hit it.
Somebody's going to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just gone.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh well. I like how we can talk about that.
Yes.
It just doesn't bother us at all.
Yep.
But then you talk to some people like that, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's the worst."
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about being in comedy is that some of my friends will send me things of like a dude skateboarding and he falls and he breaks his arm. And then I'll just be like, "Oh, I didn't know you like stuff like that." And they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I've got a dark sense of humor." And I'm like, "Oh, well, if you've got a dark sense of humor, here, let me send you this."
Yeah.
And I'll send them something, and they're just like, "Oh my gosh, like, why would you send me that?" I was like, "I thought you liked dark stuff." And they're like, no, that's the one. Oh, why would you think I'd like that? Here, we'll skip that one. Ooh, if the Olympics called tomorrow and they're like, "Trevor, we need you to fill in," what sport would you be best at, or what event would you be best at?
Is frisbee golfing a sport?
It might be. It might be in the
Or
Olympics
what's
now.
the one where you just do that with the stick?
The curling? Like
curling, yeah.
And you sweep?
Curling.
Yeah.
Curling. I'd be pretty good at curling.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that for
Any
sure.
basketball, soccer? No.
No. No, I don't think I could do any of that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have to be an event that's not, I don't know, that it's quick. Quick event.
Yeah.
I've always said the long ski jump.
Ooh.
Where you just go down, you go off the ramp, you're in the air for like 6 seconds, and then you either land or you don't.
Yep.
I would rather do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd rather, like, if I'm just going to fall and break my legs and die, well, okay. But, there's a shot at glory when you might not get it.
That's probably the best shot right there is on the skis.
Yeah. Because I don't even know how to ski, but it's 10 seconds of your day.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. I went to the Olympics for an event, and they're like, "Oh, how'd you do?" I broke my legs.
Yeah.
but I got to go, and they're like, "Oh, wow, this guy's cool." Best way to survive in prison?
Be nice to everyone, probably.
I think so.
I think that you should be nice to everyone.
I think that there's a lot of people out there that are like, "No, you find the toughest, biggest guy, and you beat him up your first day." And I'm like, "No, that's no."
You just put a
try to be nice
flag over your head with that.
Yeah, because then everybody wants to go after you because now you're the new top dog.
Yeah.
Why not just kill him with kindness? Just be like, "Hey, buddy,
there was a
you want some ramen?"
Exactly. There was a podcast that I watched the other day, dude, and there was this guy that sat down at a table, and he's like, "Who wants to learn how to play chess?" Well, it was a black guy, and this was a white guy at a table, and he's like, well, I want to learn how to play chess. So he went over and sat at the table with him. And now that guy has flags over his head because he just sat down with a different race.
Oh.
So like now he's in a whole world of shit. Now people are trying to kill him because he's sat down to learn how to play chess with somebody.
That's what I don't understand. Like, there's some people that I've met, like, especially doing comedy, is they're like super woke and stuff like that. And they're like, I would never join a gang. I would never do this. And I'm like, no, right now you would never, but you haven't been put in that situation.
Right.
Like, I guarantee you, half of these white people would go to prison and then be like, oh, everyone wants to kill me. And then next thing you know, they've got swastika tattoos and they shave their head. And it's like,
thoughts and feelings change when you're in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you got to make a decision. Just, doesn't mean you have to hate anybody. It just means you're trying to stay alive.
Right.
Which rapper or musician has the best sex life?
Let's see here. Well, I mean, there's the obvious Kardashian and Ray J. There's that one.
Okay.
But I don't like either of them, so I can't use those. I'd probably just have to say, like...
You think it's like Mick Jagger? It's like somebody that we don't think about, but like... he's been doing it 65 years. So.
He's probably got a good one. Maybe like... That's a good question, man. I'd probably say like Ludacris.
Oh,
or Usher.
Yeah.
Or like Usher.
Yeah, Usher. Mm-hmm. That's probably a good one.
Maybe like Lil Bow Wow.
I do miss Ludacris. Ludacris had some great music for a while, you know? Mm-hmm. Then he went down that Fast and the Furious route, and now he doesn't do it anymore. I mean,
once you get involved with Vin Diesel, you're pretty much done with. I've noticed that.
I saw something the other day. Did you know that's not his real name?
It's not?
No, Vin Diesel's real name is like...
Been gay for a long time?
It's like Max Smith or something like that. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Mark Sinclair.
Oh.
Why did you choose Vin Diesel?
And who gave you that?
Yeah.
That's probably one of them Illuminati names.
Illuminati name. They're like, you are now Vin Diesel.
Mm-hmm. And you'll make fast movies.
Oh, you were talking about this earlier with the mountain lions, but like, what's the best way to like fight a tiger or a large cat like that?
Oh, man. Well, if I had like a gun, I would just shoot it. But I'm getting real close and stabbing if I can. I'm just going to have to accept my losses with like, I'm going to get fucked up.
I think you almost have to sacrifice like an arm for it to bite onto, and then with the other hand try to like...
I try to poke its eyes out, I think.
Yeah, maybe go for the eyes.
That's why I want a machete, is because it's a little bit longer and I can poke with it.
I know that just because I have 4 house cats, a lot of them don't like it if you scratch like by their butt.
Yeah.
So maybe that.
Really rough.
If they chew on their arm and you just kind of give it a little butt scratch real quick, then sometimes they get... and they just go away.
I guess there was a guy that choked a mountain lion with bare hands.
I saw that. Yeah, and he did a press conference or whatever. And
those are big cats, dude.
Yeah, they're huge.
Huge cats.
They're huge. I heard they rip people off of like bikes. Like people will be biking or whatever, and the mountain lion will just jump out of the brush and just pull them to the ground, pull them off the bike and pull them into the...
Well, it's going to be a bloodbath if that happens. It's probably going to be my blood.
Yeah.
Because that thing's going to fuck me up.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do what I can to...
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do in the moment is you just...
What would you rather be attacked by, a mountain lion or a bear?
Mountain lion. Because they kill their prey first. Bears will eat you while you're still alive.
Oh, dude.
So I would much rather be dead and eaten than be like alive and watch something like pulling out my liver and stuff.
You want to hear a real big mind fuck?
Yeah.
Kangaroos will wait for you in like chest deep water, pick your ass up and drown you just so they can do it if they feel threatened, and they won't even eat you, dude. They just are like...
Kangaroos drown people?
Yeah, they'll pick you up and hold your head underwater. Kangaroos will. Like, there's pictures of kangaroos waiting in, like, chest-deep water, and they're just like...
try it.
Waiting for you to come in.
See, that would scare me because kangaroos are in Australia, and Australia's full of crocodiles too.
Yes.
So that would terrify me to get in any water in Australia.
Yeah.
Imagine being in the water in Australia and being scared of crocodiles or sharks or eels or something like that, and the thing that gets you is a kangaroo.
Oh man. Have you ever seen the video of that kangaroo that has that dude's dog in like a headlock? And the dude just comes over and punches the kangaroo in the face.
I haven't seen it.
And the kangaroo's just like, and then just runs off into the woods or whatever.
I've seen videos of kangaroos fighting people, and they just tune people up.
Yeah.
Because they'll sit back on their tail and then hit you with those real strong legs.
Uh-huh.
And they said it can like crack your rib cage and stuff. And it's like, that's terrifying. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely terrifying.
Well, over in Australia, they have their dogs wear like leather around their necks.
Oh, yeah.
For it's for kangaroo defense. I know that. And that's pretty frightening.
What's the best way to tell if somebody's a bad person?
A haircut.
A haircut?
Yeah.
Certain haircuts you just stay away from?
You shouldn't trust mullets.
Mullets?
Yeah, you shouldn't trust them.
Just don't do it? No,
yeah, don't do mullets.
No. They're just shifty.
I just don't trust you.
Yeah? You're just uncommitted one way or the other.
Yeah.
Like, is it long? Is it short? What are we doing here?
I can't trust you.
Do you have a mullet?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I was actually going to get a flat top mullet, but I think it would have embarrassed Allie, so I didn't get it.
I would have been a little disappointed if you didn't have a mullet.
Yeah, and the dude that cuts my hair, he'll give them out for free because he's like, that's a dangerous move, bro.
He likes it.
Yeah.
He likes chaos, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. I think the last time I saw you, you had like a giant mustache, didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't you have a big a beard and
I had a mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Every once in a while, that comes back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hate my chin so much that every time I shave my beard, I'm like, yeah, I regret this. Instantly regret this.
Yeah, your face just looks different when you shave.
I know.
You
look younger, but you also. My wife doesn't like it.
Really?
She's told me before. She's like, you're much less attractive without a beard.
Oh, really?
But I'm like, wow, that's
Thank
messed
you.
up. Oh, thank you. Okay. Best day at work you've ever had?
Best day at work.
That's a hard one. I know it's a hard one because once you have a lot of jobs, you're like,
The days when you're told that you get to go home early, those are pretty good days.
Those are pretty good days.
Yeah. Days where you know that you're going to get off at like 11.
Yeah.
Those are really good.
Do you remember there was one day when we had, it was like the anniversary, the unit's anniversary or whatever, and we had a formation at like 6:30 a.m. and we were off by like 8 a.m. and they gave everybody 2 free beers, and it was on a Friday, and they were like, all right, see you Monday.
Because that don't happen.
You're like, oh my gosh, this is the best day ever. I think about that a lot sometimes when I do these questions. It's like, ooh, it's hard to translate when your boss shows up, gives everybody 2 free beers, and then is like, all right, you got 48 hours. And you're like, yes.
Yep. Don't get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, you had to sit through like 9 safety briefs every weekend.
Yeah.
Just of the people being like, do not drink and drive. Do not do drugs. Do not go to jail.
Yes. And it's so funny how, like, the same shit transitions out of the Marine Corps. There's always one, dude.
Yeah.
There's always one that's going to mess up the count.
Yeah. Mess up the count. I did that one time. I remember one time messing it up.
Did your body get hot?
Yeah. And I was like, never again. Yep. Never again will I ever mess this up.
Yeah.
I will have to just force yourself to pay attention, because you let your mind drift. And then next thing you know, you're like 27 and they're like, and you're like, wait, what? No. Yeah. Oh, 26. I'm at 26. And they're like, shut up. Do it over.
Yep.
Oh, that's the worst. What's the best way to die?
Not drowning.
Not drowning.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather drown or burn alive?
So I've been told, I don't even know how you would find this information out. Like, it's like, who have you talked to that's drowned before? But I probably drowning, because I was told that once you're underwater for so long that your lungs just burst and all of your nerves go with it, and it's just kind of a peaceful way out.
Huh.
But burning, that's instant chaos.
Oh, yeah.
Instant chaos.
Just panic.
Yeah.
And even at some point, even after you've been burning for a while, even if they are able to put it out, you're still like, what kind of life is this? You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to live without a nose.
Yes. Ouch.
You know, like, I mean, no offense to any burn victims out there, but still, like, skin grafts and hospital time and infections, like, that sounds terrible.
As to where water's kind of like cooler, you know.
Yeah.
Fresh water, preferably.
Yes, not salt water. I don't want to die in salt water.
Or I don't want my eyes to be irritated.
That'd
be a big one too.
That
Imagine being like in salt water, drowning, and you're like, I can't see.
I can't see. And then you do the funeral, and your eyes are still like red and irritated. You know what I mean? Like, at least make a happy, or like a pretty corpse for your family.
Yep.
Let's skip through some of these I've done. Oh, what's the best way to make you cry?
Definitely watching the movie Hardball.
Oh, with Keanu Reeves?
That when that G-Baby gets shot.
G-Baby? Oh.
That'd be like a go-to. Well, kids, of course. You know, kids will make you cry. Just because that's very surreal. But definitely that movie.
Does stuff make you cry a lot? Do you? I break down pretty regularly.
Yeah, I'd say that I cry regularly.
I don't think that I cry a lot, but my wife is like, yeah, you cry all the time. You always cry. Everything. And I was like, no, I don't. And she's like,
I beg to differ.
Yeah, you're a crier.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's easy, though, because, like, and it's funny because, like, in my 20s, I didn't really cry that much. I was just like, whatever, I'll get over it, you know?
Yeah.
In your 30s, you just see the world in a different perspective.
I stopped caring. I'm like, why am I holding these back? Why am I? Who am I trying to impress?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. But it's like little things, commercials, songs, movies.
It's like you almost try to cry.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes you need a good cry.
It makes it more special.
Yeah, it does. Some days you're just like, you know what? I'm going to go home and cry tonight.
Yeah.
I think.
And listen to sad music.
Yeah. Sad music is so much better than happy music, I think. I mean, there's a time for happy music when you're like, yeah, let's party. But then somebody's like, hey, you want to hear this sad song?
You got to get it out.
Absolutely.
You got to get it out.
Yeah. I love, dude, crying. It's one of those things like you're told you're not supposed to do, but really, I got to enjoy it. So
I do too.
If anybody's out there and they want to come cry with me.
And I've learned to cry, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, for so long, I would just, like, be like, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Who cares?
I'm stronger than this.
Who cares? Yeah. I don't even care. Like I don't. That's one thing about hanging out with like 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
There's so many of them out there that are like, I don't care, man. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like you know, you're like,
have a couple babies.
Yeah, have some kids. Yeah.
Get married.
You'll start caring.
Find somebody that you actually love.
Yeah. Find a reason to get up in the morning, and then you start caring a lot.
Exactly.
A lot of times when people do stuff like that, you know, I was hanging out with somebody the other day, and they were smoking a cigarette, and they were leaning against one of those cigarette butt like receptacle things, and they took it and they just flicked it, and I'm like, dude, you're leaning against the place where it should go. And he's like, I don't care, and I'm like, yeah, because you have nothing worth caring about, you know, like you're but have some kids, and then you're gonna be like, you know what? We should maybe take care of this place. Like,
I'll tell you what really brought me to my senses and made me start crying a lot was when I started smoking weed, dude.
Really?
I would start smoking weed, and all of my emotions would be right here in front of my face, and not in a bad way, dude. It's like, hey, this is worth noticing.
Yeah.
And you need to take care of it. Get your emotions out with it. And that was probably the first time where I didn't feel like I was like a baby.
Yeah.
More or less. It's because I was like, man, I've been blocking these off for so long.
Well, that's what we were talking about earlier with like medications, you know, because it's like, oh, I've got anxiety. I don't want to feel it. And they're like, well, here, take this pill and the anxiety will go away.
Yeah.
But not the reason why the anxiety started.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, well, maybe you should deal with the reason that you're upset first instead of just trying to cover it up, you know?
Yep.
Like, you can't do that with anything else. Like, if you were having a heart attack and your arm was hurting, you're like, hey, my arm's hurting. The doctor wouldn't just be like, oh, well, take some aspirin. You'll be all right.
Right.
They'd be like, no, let's figure out how to stop it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I feel like when people get anxiety, everybody's like, oh, no, you shouldn't feel that in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Take this pill so it goes away. And
let's combat it.
It's like, okay, but why are you anxious?
And
because you don't, like you made a bad choice. Like maybe you should think about this and learn how to fix it.
Absolutely. And anxiety is so common. Everybody's got anxiety, dude. And I mean, like, you can get into such an anxious state in your life where it's like, dude, I gotta be the only one that's going through this.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, dude, just about everybody's going through it. And you see the world differently when you age a little bit. And we're only like in our mid to early 30s, but it's like I've seen enough now where I can say that I have a little bit of time under my belt, but like I'm still young, and I don't know, life's good right now.
Yeah.
Life's
it's not bad. Like
it's okay to cry.
I think the people that don't cry are the people that are the most like you're the most messed up. If you're not letting yourself feel emotions,
right,
something's wrong.
Are you a public crier?
I try not to be.
Me too.
But sometimes I will. Like at a funeral, I'll cry at a funeral. Mm-hmm. If I'm at like something where my kids are involved and I'm like real proud of them, I might like wipe them away real quick or whatever.
Yeah.
But like if something's bothering me, like my own personal stuff, I'm not going to break down in public and cry. Yeah. But I will go home and shut the door. Yeah. Sit in a bathtub and just like, just lose it. Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but there was an old like Dane Cook comedy thing where he's like, have you ever just cried so hard that you just started saying things and it didn't even make sense? Where you're just hugging the toilet and you're like, I did my best, like that. And that's sometimes how I feel. Like I'm trying. My father's a good man, like that. You're just crying about weird things. Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes I enjoy a good cry just as much as a good laugh.
Mm-hmm. And you got to be able to balance it out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a good cry or a good laugh right after a big cry,
Because if you're crying too much, then something's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? Yeah. It's got to be like 50-50. You know what I mean? Let's see. What's the best dessert?
I like red velvet stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I like certain kinds of like pies. But they gotta be like real, real bad for you.
Oh, real sugary pies.
Real sugary
Can't have
pies.
anything too healthy. You know.
Yep. Perkins has got some good pies.
I don't think I've ever had a Perkins pie.
It's got it on display for a reason. You go in there and you're like, I don't even want my food. I want that.
I want the pie. Mm-hmm. I want one large Dutch apple pie, please.
Exactly.
You had me with red velvet though.
I like donuts are good. Is donuts a dessert?
Yeah.
Just like a breakfast food.
I mean, it is a breakfast food, but it's a dessert. I mean, it's a dessert.
Can't go wrong with them.
I mean, if you've got icing and sprinkles, you're a dessert.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Sweet treat.
Exactly. But, I mean...
Dairy Queen. Can't go wrong with Dairy Queen.
Oh, man.
The mocha mulattes.
I've never had one of those. But a red velvet, especially if it's like... Have you ever had the red velvet cheesecake from... where is it? I think probably Cheesecake Factory. It's like a red velvet white chocolate cheesecake.
Actually, I think I have had something like it. Mm-hmm. But because we would go to the Cheesecake Factory over in Glendale. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I loved that place. What's the best movie you've ever seen?
Probably The Sandlot.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a wholesome movie. It's for kids and it's for adults.
Yeah.
You got the best of both worlds.
You've got everything in it. You've got a giant dog. Mm-hmm. You've got PF Flyers. Mm-hmm. Babe Ruth makes an appearance.
Yeah.
Wendy Peppercorn.
Yep.
Yep. I mean,
you got the kid version or like his story, Smalls. Yeah. And then he grows up, dude. I tell you what, when he ends up, like, you don't know that he's going to be an announcer and he's playing baseball with his buddy from, like, back in the day.
Benny the Jet.
It just hits different.
Yeah. Especially that one little end scene where Benny steals a base or whatever, and he's in the booth, and he just kind of gives him a thumbs up.
Yep.
You're like, oh, nice.
Or I like, what's that one movie? I can't even think of what
You almost
it
have
is.
to break them into different categories, you know, like best comedy, you know, like best horror movie, best war movie.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't just say like one is better than all the rest because it's too many.
Step Brothers is pretty good.
Yeah, Step Brothers is up there. I like the original Hangover. I probably watched that 100 times.
Well, didn't that come out when we were in?
I'm pretty close to it. I think it came out in like 2010, which is like right when I joined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Oh, so much fun.
Yeah.
So good. And I remember watching that just over and over and over again. I remember there were times where we were in our room. Remember that giant TV we bought?
Yes.
Yeah. And we, it was such a bad decision. The three of us split it.
Yeah.
But it was like a 78-inch TV.
So big.
It took up like an entire wall.
Yep.
And we used it just to play like video games
Call
or
of
something.
Duty.
Yeah, we would just watch Bloss play video games.
Yep.
I remember that. That was, oh man. We used to watch stand-up videos too.
Yes.
We used to watch,
Yes.
Yeah, that was fun.
Do you remember on the first deployment when Bloss and myself got in trouble because all we would do is sit in the berthing and play video games?
I don't remember anybody caring that that's what we were doing, but we had that, remember the Okama Game Sphere?
Yes.
They came in the suitcase or whatever, and
Yes.
everybody would just gather around and watch.
Slade Ferris was like, you guys have got to do something else. And like we were just like, when we went to the gym, it was just to walk through and go to the Red Bull machine.
Yeah, I remember that.
No lifting happened.
I remember that.
I just go and wave to a couple people, and they're like, you can come in here? I'm like,
Nah.
probably not.
Nah.
There's a Red Bull machine right there.
Yeah.
Very convenient.
I'm trying to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That always used to make me mad because you couldn't go to the gym during certain hours.
Yeah,
it was
'cause
like
it's Navy's
depending on
time.
your rank. It would depend on your rank too.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
when
yeah.
you could go. And so it's like you would get off work and you're like, ooh, I could go to the gym. Nope, I gotta wait till 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that was so annoying.
Yeah.
There were days where like we went weeks without seeing the sun because we were just inside the ship, and then the only time you get out is at night.
Right.
And do you remember the stars though?
Yes, I do.
The stars were. I try to explain that to people what it was like.
So dark.
In the middle of the ocean, you can't see your hand in front of your face.
Yeah.
But then you look up and there's just billions of stars. Billions of them.
Yeah.
And you can't even begin to imagine. You know, like.
You'd look out day after day, dude, and it's just like abyss.
And you could see the curve of the earth, like on the horizon, and there was no land in any direction. And you're like, I might just be lost forever.
Yep.
This is the most hopeless I've ever felt. This is the smallest I've ever felt.
And then when we would show up somewhere, it's like we 100% got here by luck, by chance. It's like, I haven't seen land in 2 months. How did you get us here?
How did you know this was here? Who's got what's the best energy drink?
Man, I really like Red Bull.
You've always been pretty loyal to Red Bull.
Yeah.
Do you like the sugar-free or the just OG?
I do the OG,
Yeah.
dark blue and silver. Yep, I
That's
like
the way to
that.
go.
Yep. I did like the Blue Monster.
Yeah.
Blue Monster was good, and then the Absolutely Zero was pretty good. Zion's.
That's the white. Is that the white one?
Nope. The Absolutely Zero is the purple one, and the black and purple.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Black and purple. I remember that. I remember the blue one. I remember the green one. I loved the smell when you would pop that top.
Yes.
And you just, a little bit of like, I don't know if it was smoke or steam or whatever would come out the top. And
Right.
you just hit that first little whiff.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just down it. I remember being 21 or whatever, and we would drink like 7 a day and not think anything of it.
Yeah, I was like, we'll be fine.
If I had one right now, I would die. Like my heart would explode. I like the Giants. I like those. There's some new ones that are called like Celsius. They're supposed to be pretty
Ooh.
good for you.
I'll have to try that out.
Yeah, they're pretty good. My daughter likes them.
Red Bull's terrible for you.
I think
So
they're all bad for you. I mean,
Yeah.
then none of them are good for you. You know what I mean? Ooh, what's the best candy bar?
Ooh, Milky Way Midnight. I like the dark chocolate.
Milky Way Midnight. That is a good answer, man.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people mess with the Milky Way Midnight. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, that's a really good
Little
one.
bit of dark chocolate, but I think it's like a little extra creamy too. You know,
Yeah,
like they do something else to it. Because sometimes dark chocolate is too bitter,
Yeah.
but they do it right over there at Milky Way.
I have to stay away from the Reese's Pieces.
I remember because of that shop
Yeah,
on
that's-
Sunset Boulevard, right?
Yeah, dude. I had Reese's Pieces and they just turned like that. I'm like, oh my god, this store smells like the taste that's in my mouth right now.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I couldn't look at it.
It wasn't like a sex store,
Right.
but it was like a place where strippers would go to get clothes.
Yeah, I'd say it was like an adult store.
It was like an adult store, but not full of like weird, gross like sex toys.
Right,
it was
yeah.
just like
It wasn't Sex Magic Shop.
it was just weird like clothes, weird
Yeah.
outfits that you would wear on stage if you were a stripper. And I remember we were walking around like, what is this place? And I remember you sitting there with your Reese's Pieces. You're like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta leave. I gotta leave.
It was bad.
And you told me after I walked out and you threw your Reese's Pieces away. You're like, I can never eat those again. Like that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like,
And to this day, I haven't.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's stuck with me. That taste stuck in my mouth. It's
Yeah.
so bad.
Because it just was such a, we were like, we don't need to be in here.
Yeah.
We don't need to be in here.
Yeah.
That's what's the best meal that you can cook? Like if Gordon Ramsay came in here and was like, Trevor, I need your best meal right now.
Pancakes.
Pancakes?
Yeah. I
Yeah?
can make pretty good pancakes.
Pancakes, that's a good one. It's a staple.
My
you know?
my kids like the pancakes that I make, and that lets me know that they must be pretty good. Because a 5-year-old will give you his honest opinion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There have been lots of times where I've cooked something and my kids are like, yeah, this sucks.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Glad I wasted an hour and a half of my life trying to do.
Then there's like easy stuff like pasta.
Yeah.
You can make that, but I'm not much
Mac
of
and cheese, stuff
I'm
like
not
that.
much of a
That's pretty-
cook.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm not. I used to like it, and then I really stopped.
I will eat at a restaurant until I am broke before I cook something.
Yeah.
You know, Buffalo Wild Wings. I had Buffalo Wild Wings for months on end, dude, to the point where I'm like, they've gone downhill. By the way, I think.
I think all restaurants have. I mean,
It's not
that's
the
not
same.
fair. Not all restaurants, but a lot
Chili's
of
is pretty good.
chain restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
They're going downhill, and they're getting more expensive. And you're getting less quality food. You know.
Do they have Five Guys around here?
Oh yeah.
My fiance's brothers just went over there and got each 3 patties, and it cost them $55.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you get just a single cheeseburger with bacon and a thing of fries, $25,
Yep.
$30.
It's a quarter of your work week.
I know. It's insane. But it is pretty delicious. It is I think it's probably the best fast food burger.
Yeah, it's authentic too. It's like real meat.
Yeah. You can tell. I mean, you watch them cook it and stuff.
Yeah.
I get down with that. I love Five Guys, but it's too pricey.
Loved Golden Corral when it was around.
You
But
don't have one by you?
It went out of business. I don't know if you saw the big YouTube fight, the big fiasco that happened in the Golden Corral on YouTube. It went viral,
No,
dude.
I haven't seen it.
Right down the street from my house on University Street, this family comes in there and something
Just tears
happens
it up.
and just throwing chairs at each other, like it was a WCW match.
Oh man.
Closed it down. I don't know if that's the reason why it happened, but that kind of gave it the reputation of bad shit happens here. You know what I mean?
Speaking of buffet type places, did you ever go to Ponderosa? Did you ever have a Ponderosa?
No.
Or a Ryan's? No, you never had any of those? Oh man.
The only buffet that I've been to is a Grand Buffet. Do they have those around here? How's the Ponderosa and the one?
Ponderosa left. So Ponderosa was back in Cape where I live. So Ponderosa, then that closed and moved away, and then Ryan's came in, and then that closed and moved away, and now it's a Golden Corral.
Ooh.
But Ponderosa, back in the day, like after church,
Yep.
midday meal, you'd go to Ponderosa if you were feeling fancy.
Do they have a chocolate fountain there?
I think they did, yeah.
Anywhere that's got a chocolate fountain, you can get down with.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to... who's got the best fast food fries?
Hardee's.
Hardee's?
Yeah, I like Hardee's. I'll tell you, Jack in the Box had good fast food fries.
You like the curly ones, or you go with the regular?
I'm regular guy.
Regular?
I'm a regular fry guy.
Yeah, not a curly guy.
But if they decide to throw one into the mix, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, nobody's mad about that.
I'm not mad about that.
Nuh-uh. Yeah, I'm not going to order the whole thing, but if you want to give me a couple in there for free, yeah.
Like a 98-to-2 ratio.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly how. Which country has the best food? Do you think? Do you think it's like Mexico, China, Italy?
I'd say my top 3 are Italy, Mexico, or like South American.
Yeah.
Just like that, or just like Midwest food. Just like it's hearty.
Yeah.
It is.
Midwest food is anything that's a huge portion.
Mm-hmm.
There's either cheese or gravy or both. Mm-hmm. It's something fried.
Ranch,
yeah.
Yeah, ranches isn't a big one on the West Coast.
Yeah, they don't understand it.
Yeah.
They'll never understand.
I did see a bottle of Tapatio, though, the other day in the grocery store, and I'm like, wow, that's a throwback.
Yeah, I have a bottle of Valentina sauce at my house.
Oh,
like they used to have at Ram ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, those old burritos.
Hold on to that.
Oh, I do. You can get it at Walmart. You can get big jars of it.
Oh, dude.
Or at least at the Walmart by my
That
house.
was so good. You know, a big one that what's the one that people were having over in Okinawa that was so big? It had the rooster on the front of it.
Sriracha?
Sriracha.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I think though, if you have a hot sauce, it shouldn't be sweet. It should be like to the point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's not play around.
Something pretty direct.
I'm here for hot sauce. If I want sweet, I'd go honey mustard or
like
something.
Sweet and sour.
Yeah.
Like something like that.
What's your favorite sauce to put on a food?
Definitely ranch.
Okay.
I love ranch. Or like like an Alfredo sauce. Alfredo's pretty good.
Alfredo is so hard. That's I definitely like Alfredo over marinara.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. Yep.
Have you ever? So you can do this at Domino's.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a pizza with Alfredo sauce and chicken on it, and it's like a chicken Alfredo pizza.
Ooh.
Oh,
that's good.
It's high living. All right. That's. I mean, I know it's fancy, but
fancy.
It is good.
Yeah.
What's the best chain pizza restaurant?
Monocles.
What is it?
Monocles. Do you have Monocles around here?
I've never heard of it.
They have like a regular slice, but they also have a thin crust, like a real thin pizza, and the ratios on it are just phenomenal. I mean, it's not too cheesy. If they put sausage or anything on it, it's not like overloaded.
Yeah,
it's very good. It makes it makes your mood better.
What's the best type of crust? Are you like a deep dish? Are you a thin crust guy? You like classic?
I like thin crust.
Yeah,
I do.
like
I can't have too much breading on my pizza. Exactly. I don't want to get full off of bread.
Exactly.
I want to get full off of
pizza.
Yeah.
I want the cheese. I want the sauce. I want the pepperoni or the whatever.
Yeah.
My wife's a big stuffed crust fan.
Okay.
I'm not.
Stuffed with like cheese?
Yeah. I can't get on board with it because by the time I eat, I don't know, you eat the crust and you're like, ugh.
Have you ever like been at a restaurant and they bring out the appetizers and then like you eat all the appetizers and then you're not even hungry for the meal?
Yeah.
That's how I feel stuffed crust is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the thing is like the quality of the stuffed crust, after about 10 minutes, it really goes downhill. Once it cools off,
yeah,
you're really just kind of chewing on like,
yep.
Those cheese sticks that you can get and then you like the peel cheese?
Yes.
That's basically what it is, just wrapped in like bread.
Yes.
And it really, like, after, like, 1 or 2 bites of it and it's cold, you're like, I'm good.
Yeah, I could have had something else.
Yeah. But it kind of works out because sometimes I will just cut the crust off and then just give my wife the stuffed crust.
Oh,
and
nice.
I eat the pizza toppings.
That's a meal in its own.
Yeah. And she's okay with that because she doesn't like, she'll eat meat, but she doesn't care for it that much.
Sure.
But I never understood that.
Allie doesn't really like pizza either.
Really?
Like we had she was excited for pizza the other night, and her brothers came over, and she ended up just getting a salad. She didn't even get any of the pizza because everybody devoured all of it. And she was like, well, that kind of stinks.
Well, yeah.
I'm like, you weren't missing them much.
Yeah, my wife does that a lot. If we go places, she's like, I'll just get a salad.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like that's a waste of going out to eat. Don't you? I mean,
What are you, a rabbit?
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, live a little.
Yeah.
Get a burger or something. And she's like,
Up your risk for heart disease.
Yeah, come on.
Live a little.
Gain some weight. You know, like, you just like convince her to go down a bad path.
Yeah.
Oh. If you could pick one celebrity ghost to haunt somebody, who would you send to haunt?
Christopher Walken.
Okay. That's a good one.
Just because he'd have a ghoulie. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine who would you send him to?
I'd probably send him to like another celebrity.
Oh, yeah, you could do another celebrity or just like a friend or family member or something. Like,
I'd probably send them over to haunt my fiance's parents.
just Christopher Walken, just
like, ooh,
no,
spooky.
No. Can you imagine that they're the only two people in the world that can see him?
Yeah,
you know, and they're just like,
soldering iron.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Golden Corral tonight, and he's like, no, it's the third time this week. I don't want to go. Let's go to Ponderosa instead. That's what I want to see. I would want to send. Do you remember Richard Simmons?
Yeah.
The exercise guy with the
yeah.
sequins. I would want to send him to someone.
Yeah.
I'd probably pick like my laziest friend or whatever. So every time they sat down to watch TV, it's just Richard Simmons in front of them. Like, come on, we can do it. Let's come on. And they're like trying to watch TV like through him. You know, like that would be fun. Like, come on, you don't need the pizza. Put it down. Just one bite. Okay, maybe just one slice. Come on. But just like, I would love to see a defeated, sad, tired Richard Simmons where he's like, come on, how about we go check the mail? Let's start there. You know, like he's just exasperated. He's just exhausted. You know, like
is he still alive?
I think so.
Is he?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not wishing him dead, but if he dies
he's probably an old bag of bones now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Best fast food chain.
I wish that they had Jack in the Box where we are.
There's Jack in the Box all over the city up here.
Are you serious?
Yeah, if you need to get some Jack in the Box.
J and the B?
Yeah. We can J and the B tonight.
Yak in the Box?
Yeah.
I'll tell you another place that I used to like, El Pollo Loco.
Yeah. The crazy chicken. I'm down for it.
Can't go wrong with that.
I miss Del Taco. Did you ever have Del Taco?
I have.
Del Taco was pretty good. It was a West Coast thing.
Yeah,
I can't find it here.
Over in East Peoria, they had like a knockoff Del Taco that didn't last very long.
Really?
I think it was called like Taco John's or something like that.
You had we have Taco John's in my city. People love Taco John's.
It wasn't a hit where I was.
Really?
Yeah, it went out of business.
It's hard to convince people that are hardcore Taco Bell people to try Taco John's.
Yeah,
but it's just a little bit better. I think it's a little bit better,
dude. You're really doing yourself a disservice if you eat at Taco Bell. I think.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing.
I mean, I get it. If it's 2 a.m. and there's nothing else open, and you're like, I gotta get something.
Yeah.
All right.
Taco Bell's like half of a bad choice.
Yeah. 3/4 of a bad choice.
3/4, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of have to surrender some parts of you that like.
Compromise
hey, tomorrow's gonna be pretty rough.
Yep.
I'm eating Taco Bell at 2 a.m. I'm gonna sacrifice a good portion of my day tomorrow to just feeling bad.
Yeah.
And
you
know
do.
what?
You do.
You do. But you still pull in sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
You still like I could go for a burrito. You know.
Yeah.
But
they make them just right.
They do. They do it right. I mean, in the moment, I've never been eating Taco Bell and been like, I hate this. You're like, I love it. And then when it's over, then you hate it.
I really like Subway.
I love Subway.
Yeah. Have you ever had their steak and cheese? It's pretty good. It's not steak. I don't know what it is.
Oh yeah,
but
it's not.
It's not steak, but it's good.
They came out a couple years ago, and they found out that the flatbread, apparently that's the same material that they make like flip-flops and yoga mats out of.
Oh, dude. They kept it a big secret.
And they kept it a big secret, and then it came out, and they were like, what do you want us to do? You know what I mean?
It's pretty much like the people that tried to hide what glitter was for the longest time. People were like, what is glitter? Glitter's just broken down glass, dude.
Is it really?
Yeah, people are like...
Just tiny fragments of glass?
Of plastic and glass.
Oh, my gosh. My daughter, like, swims in it.
Yeah.
She'll just come out of her room just covered in sparkles sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
we walked in there one time, and you could just see it just floating through the air in her room. And I'm like, why?
Those are just terrible inhalants or inhalants.
Oh, I can't only imagine. It's like fiberglass in your lungs.
Yep.
Oh, great.
But they tried to hide that for the longest time, and then somebody was like, okay, we have to know what this is. And they're like, well, it's glass.
Yeah, it's glass. Yeah, it's. I mean, you guys kind of knew that, right?
Yeah,
like, it's sparkly.
Yeah. What's the big deal?
Yeah, come on, it's glass.
Yeah,
throw it on your kid's art project. Let them inhale it.
Yeah,
put it in glue. Let them eat it. Remember the glitter glue?
Yeah,
there was always that one kid that had just like glitter on his face from the glitter glue.
Yep.
Which gas station has the best food?
Do they have Casey's General Store has a good one, but I've heard that Buc-ee's is pretty good.
Buc-ee's, yeah.
I've heard Buc-ee's is pretty good.
I mean, I get it. If you've never been to Buc-ee's, I can understand why you would say Quick Trip, Casey's, Flying J, maybe. Mm-hmm. But, oh, man, Buc-ee's. Once you go into a Buc-ee's, I mean, it just changes. It's like a religious experience. You know, you're never the same.
So what do you do at Buc-ee's? I heard it's like a Walmart.
Oh, well, first of all, you don't do anything at Buc-ee's. They do it all for you. You pull up to a gas station. There might be 75 to 100 gas pumps outside, so you're never waiting on one.
Ooh.
You know, you park, pull in, fill up your car, go in, and you walk inside. And yeah, it's as big as a Walmart. Like, I mean, it's huge. Then you've got hunting equipment. You've got clothes. You've got stuffed animals. You've got like knickknacks and signs for the wall. You need a cross that says "Live, Laugh, Love." They got one. You want a sign the shape of Texas that says, you know, whatever.
Do they sell camouflage Crocs?
Yeah.
Okay.
With or without a beaver on them,
Ooh.
Whatever you want. But then you get into the food section. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about donuts. I'm talking about homemade beef jerky. I'm talking about roasted cinnamon almonds and pecans.
Candle section?
Candles. Oh, obviously. They've got candy, both like big brand and generic versions. Just walls of energy drinks and sodas, coffee stations, the bathrooms. You go in, there's like 50 urinals, but they have like actual walls on the side, so you get a little bit of privacy.
Oh, wow.
Probably 30 to 50 stalls, but like legitimate stalls. They're all clean. It's all nice. And then in the center is where you get the hot food. Man, they will pull out briskets, like a 12-pound brisket, and then one guy will hold the brisket up over his head, and he just yells out, "Fresh brisket on the floor." And then everybody else repeats, "Fresh brisket on the floor," like that.
That hits you, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. And you're just like, what is happening?
You feel like you're a part of the team.
And then he chops it up and makes them into sandwiches. They slide down this little thing, like, and they're hot and ready. You can just eat it right there. Or, like, you can buy brisket to go. Like, I mean...
What's the place that throws the rolls at you?
Oh, Lambert's?
Lambert's.
Yeah, down south in Sykeston. I think they've got another location too, but Sykeston's the one I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're sitting at a table and they'll just come out and be like, "Hot rolls," and you just put your hand up and they just chuck a roll at you from 75 feet. You know,
like
you
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, just all day, It's so
Have you been to a Texas Roadhouse?
Yeah.
Where they let you eat the peanuts and just throw them on the floor?
Yeah.
I don't think they do that anymore because I think it became a hazard.
Yeah, I think people slipped on those shells.
Yeah, you can slip on those. Which is like, watch where you're going.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. we're at 2.5 hours.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to wrap it up. I love doing this, but I think the cameras are running out of battery.
Okay.
I hope you come back and do it again sometime, man.
I'll be back, man.
Anytime you want to come, you're always welcome. I appreciate you so much coming down to do this.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, you're welcome. I'm not kidding. You are welcome back anytime. Last question I ever ask anybody is, what's the best way to improve this podcast?
Dude, I think I don't have any experience with podcasts, but I know your heart.
Yeah.
And you are probably one of the most genuine people I know.
I appreciate that, man.
And you have a really, really good thing going for you. And any way I can promote this, any way I can help you out, I will take the opportunity to do that. I'll stick my neck out for you because I love you as a friend.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that you're onto a good thing right now. I think you're doing very good, and I'm very proud of you.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I hope so. I hope that people find this and enjoy it, and I just want to make something that makes people laugh.
Yeah.
Especially in days when, the world's as crazy as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to just kind of relax and have some fun.
Absolutely.
So, but no, man, I love you to death. You're like a brother to me. Anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome.
I'll be back, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you can have me.
I can't wait, man.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
All right, thanks.
See you, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.